Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today. Very, very happy to have you all here. Of course, it's been quite the weekend. I was very busy working and such, but it's still gray over here. We're having one of those years, man. It's all
Mm.
right. Just as a little placard I put up here in the corner, just to remind you the total number of Hollywood stars who have left America for Canada.
How many we got? Where we
Yeah,
at? Where we sitting at?
we're at precisely. Let me get my calculations out. Zero.
Oh, what?
Damn it.
No. What?
Damn it. I
That
thought it
can't
would take me a little
be.
longer than that. I had all my
They can't
paperwork
all be
ready. I
liars.
even had
Wait a minute.
dice to put in randomness. Yeah,
Oh, these people. Did you
these
see,
people.
Chester?
Yeah.
I don't know if I shared it in this Discord or not, but did you see after John Bones Jones won in handsome fashion, retained the UFC World Heavyweight Championship? He did the Trump dance,
He did.
pointed at pointed at Mr. Trump,
He did.
Mr. President,
Yeah,
and then walked over to him and handed him the belt.
he did.
That
And
was
and
pretty freaking cool.
and Trump was appreciative. How dare
Yes.
he even?
Trump wa that row that he was sitting in, you had Elon, the
Hmm.
world's singular richest man. You had Trump, who's probably, I mean, I don't even think probably, definitely the most influential man on the planet. And then the guy
Right
sitting
now.
next
Yeah.
to him is the guy I believe who runs the Saudis investment firm, which is worth almost $1 trillion. So you had a lot of money sitting in that one row,
You did. You
just
did. That's
chilling.
true. Still nowhere near as much money in the as there is in the Democratic Party, but
Yeah, well,
yeah.
yeah.
you know.
It's
But
it's easy to get when you print it.
There was yeah, they even had the Speaker of the House in there. We had Tulsi
Yep.
Gabbard walking with him. They all
You had
went
the
out
whole
for a
crew.
fun day in New York.
I think he has adopted Elon Musk
I do
officially.
too. I personally
He's just
believe it.
they're
Yeah,
just always together, and he clearly dads him, which
he
is
does
interesting.
dad him, and Elon loves it. It is cute, isn't it? One thing I got to say though is we've seen Bobby out there making the rounds, and he's doing
Mhm.
pretty good. Of course, there's probably a larger number of people that are really positive about what he's going to do than anything
Oh,
else.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
Um,
I'm excited.
but you know who else has been making a real good show for herself? Tulsi
Tulsi?
Gabbard. Jesus,
Yeah, she's been killing it.
she
She's
has
been
been,
killing it.
dude.
She wants to be the first female president. Let's just quit pretending that's what she desperately wants.
Of course, and that's
And,
fine. Ambition's good.
yeah. The only problem I have with some of these people, but Trump has done the right thing here. The only problem I have is that a lot of them from Gabbard, well, I say a lot of them, I guess there's only technically a few of them, from Gabbard to RFK have real dumb lib shit opinions about certain things still, but
Oh, of
their job
course.
isn't gonna be affecting that, so I don't really care about their opinions
Well, they
otherwise.
well, they are Democrats. I mean, they are liberals.
Yes,
They're just not insane communists.
that's right.
But I love the fact that, of course, they're trying to dirty everybody, right? And there's like, that Gabbard, she's a Assad apologist. She's in bed with Assad,
I'm
and
an
it
Assad apologist. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. But of course, they're referring to the fact that she went and actually spoke to the man, as you know,
Yeah,
you
how
should
dare you?
do.
How dare you?
But of course, I do find it very interesting that she did that. What 2017, 2016, something around that 2017, I think. Does everyone forget that to thumb her nose at George W. Bush, Baby Bush, Nancy Pelosi did the same thing. Have we forgotten so soon?
Mhm, mhm,
I think that was 2007, maybe 6, something
mhm.
like that. But it's like these people,
They're evil. They are evil.
they are. Yeah.
No, somebody made a point on the old Twitter device that it for the first time in America since September 12th, 2001, the air here is a real positive. Everybody, like not everybody, of course. There's still a lot of libs who are upset, but they're upset at everything. But the vibe shift is unbelievable. You got NFL players out here doing the Trump dance. You
Yeah,
got
no, it's
the
so cute.
UFC
It's so
heavyweight
Trump is so
champion
cute,
doing
my
it.
wife says, just to let you know.
Yeah,
She said, "Tell them
exactly.
that Trump is cute." I said, "Yes, ma'am.
Trump is cute. He's adorable. He's
He is
adorable
adorable.
Grandpa Trump. That's
He
what he
is."
is.
I do have a question though before we get too deep. Can you explain what the hell this is?
Oh man, I'm not looking at it yet. Give me 1 second.
Uh,
Uh, is that a? Oh, what do we got? All I. Where are we? Oh, that picture. No, I can't. Mm-mm. Nope. I can't. I won't, and I shan't. In fact, um, I don't know why anybody would ever have such things on their wall, unless they're a real sick fuck. Like,
Okay. Well, she says that it's a picture of a child taken by a child. So does that mean you,
yeah,
Jamie? Taken by her mother
yeah.
of her playing in the backyard in a tub of water. Okay. So is it Jamie in a tub of water and her mom took a picture because she thought it was funny? That could be cool.
But why would you hang it in your whatever
But she
that room
doesn't
is?
word it that way.
No, it's
And
weird,
she
bro.
took it down because I didn't want to keep something up that upset me anymore, or
Well,
upset anyone. It's like, okay, you know, there's a picture of me naked in a basket, covered in chocolate. My wife thinks is hilarious. So I suppose it could just be Jamie as a kid, playing around, but it is a weird thing to frame
even
on the wall.
yeah, that's just weird. You want to talk about they're out here calling JD Vance and Trump weird. I've seen pictures all throughout Trump's house. I've never seen anything like that. There's a lot of gold and marble everywhere, but I've never seen anything like that.
No, I
That's
mean,
weird.
I'm sure a lot of people have these kind of weird little photos of children like that you would just an instant knee jerk reaction would be negative, even though they're mostly not.
Hmm.
But we don't frame them and put them on the wall, though.
No, it's kind of like the people who they'll take a picture of their child, in the bath or whatever, which is something that everybody's done at some point since the
Sure.
cameras and
Yeah.
the personal camera's been invented.
Uh huh.
But then they'll post it to Facebook, and I'm like, what? You shouldn't be doing that. That's a bad idea. You're just asking for the creeps to come looking. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
I can't
Like,
tell.
I don't understand why some people don't understand we don't live in a safe little cookie cutter world.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. It is a strange thing, but I don't know what really make of it. Now, Jamie has been very outspoken for a very long time, and she's very anti not us, I guess us.
Yeah.
Yes, she
Hmm.
doesn't like us very much.
That's right.
We are unwanted, unwashed
Okay,
even.
that's fine.
Yes, yeah. Hey, I wonder, have you heard? Has she gone to Canada yet?
No, no.
No.
And she's really not going to like Canada. Canada's about to have the biggest rightward shift maybe in the history of the West.
Oh
Have you
goodness.
seen the data on these young men in Canada? They're further right than me.
Well, do
They're
keep
crazy.
well, do keep in mind there's a very weird thing been going on in Canada for years. Trudeau's
Mhm.
party does not control the parliament. Now, for those of you who don't understand how parliamentary systems work, if your party does not control over 50%, so 50.000000, you get me. If you don't control that, then there is no legitimate government, and negotiations need to be done, usually within a time frame. Here in Japan, it's 1 month, for them to create what's called a coalition government. And that's other
Mhm.
parties coming together and agreeing to make an agreement of who's going to be the prime minister, and they're going to work together, therefore getting over 50%. That's how their system works. And he's been underneath that for a while, and they made a deal that, okay, we're going to create a coalition, but we're going to leave Justin in. So he's literally been illegitimate for years.
Yes.
Years. And they just leave him in there. Isn't it bizarre, right? It's the
Yes.
same thing happened in Macron, the Penn's, Reform Party, which are more conservative, moderate conservatives in France. They won, but then they had the majority. But Macron made deals with all these Greens and hippie liberals over there in France, who always say they hate him. But they made a
Yeah.
deal so that their majority was heavier. So they didn't it wasn't a situation to prompt a coalition government runoff or work it out type situation. They just did it
Yeah.
on their own, thus creating a coalition government.
Well, they might hate Macron, but they hate ethnic French people far more.
Oh my God, yes.
So,
Those damn
yeah.
those damn those damn people who were born there. How dare they
Yeah.
even?
How dare they? How
Uh,
dare you even be born in
yeah,
this geological location?
right.
How dare you?
And then, of course, the English people went and chose themselves labor. I mean, literally a communist party. I mean, literally, right?
Well, the problem is that the so-called conservatives were
Were
just as
bad.
left-wing as they
No,
were.
they were bad. They were bad. Yeah, the
Terrible.
Tories. Yeah, they were really bad. Which is
There's
bizarre.
a I'm telling you, we're on the right wing. I say this a lot, and people don't like hearing it because right wing has been perpetual losers for the last 200 years, but they're ascendant right now. You have the best, the most significant entrepreneur of the last 100 years, maybe of all time. Elon Musk is over here. He's on our side now. You have, I don't even think it's arguably the most important political figure of at least the last 70 years over here with Donald Trump. Uh, because I mean his impact is worldwide. It's not just America. You have a coalition of various people from all sides of the political spectrum, but they are on our side now and wanting to push what we want because you have the other side has gone fully extinctionist. They're not even communists anymore. They're just let's kill everybody. That's where they're
Yeah,
at. They're
it's weird.
fully they're
Yeah.
crazy. You got lefties in the UK, and they do it here too, attacking farmers, like openly calling farmers all sorts of terrible, terrible things. I'm like, what are you even thinking?
It's so
What are you
weird.
doing?
I mean, were you not taught in school that the most important people in any society are the farmers? Did someone fail to
Every
teach
single
you
one,
this?
without exception. There is none that's more
No,
important.
farmers are the most important, without question, because you don't
Yep.
have any doctors or teachers or scientists or any of those other things without, the farmer.
Food.
Yeah, food. It's really dumb. Kirby says, "Is there any punishment in violating this system?" Well, I'm not sure what system you're referring to, and punishment would depend upon the political views of the individual. Kirby. So,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I think we're heading for. Chester, you know me. We've known each other a while, and I've been
mhm.
saying that there is no real solution other than national political divorce in America, anyway. But I think we may have rounded the curve, and we have a chance to avoid it.
Oh,
But
we'll see.
these reforms have to happen.
We'll
It's
see.
not a question of what of might, maybe, blah blah blah. They either do happen, or in 10 years that's going to happen. We cannot live
Mhm.
with these people anymore. They're the
No,
people who
no.
run these bureaucratic agencies. These people who are all over our televisions. These people who hang weird pictures of naked children in buckets on their wall and think it's artsy. I don't know. We can't live with these people. They're insane. They're insane people, and they got to go. So we either have to separate from them entirely, or we have to dismantle their systems of oppression. Their I'll use their language, their systems of oppression against us. And
Right.
if Trump can actually do it, if they can pull this off, whew, it'll be the greatest save in the history of probably mankind.
Yeah.
Because this country was in trouble and everybody knew it. That's why you see all these people out here celebrating Trump. It's not even necessarily about him, it's what he represents. He represents a chance to right the ship. And even our boy Ben said, "Okay, you know what? I'll take the L on this one, but I hope he does what he said he was going to do this time. I hope he gets
Yeah.
it done because I think everybody wants the swamp drained.
Oh,
Everybody does,
yeah.
except for the swamp creatures."
Yeah. No, no. I mean, we'll see what he does. I mean, so far so good.
Yes.
He's not even president yet, but he's already making the right moves. He's saying the right things. He's making the right pressures. It's so far so good, dude. I mean, but of course
Yep.
we're going to watch him like a hawk. Of course we are,
Yes.
and he knows that. Of
I think
course,
he knows he doesn't have anything to lose. They've ripped their mask off and showed everybody, especially him, what they're capable of doing and what they're willing to do and what they're willing to look the other way on and da 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 da. If he doesn't succeed in this, his family's done. They're not going to stop just once he's not president anymore. They're going to come after his entire family. They already have. They're going to come after
they
everybody.
already have. Yeah.
Even his grandchildren won't be safe.
No,
So
they're very
yeah,
Stasi-esque. Yes, they
yes,
I love how they throw the word fascism around and not understanding the definition because the past 4
no idea
years
what it is.
have been some of the most fascistic government I've ever seen in
It's
America.
insane. The fact that the sitting presidents got up there and told half the country that you're basically garbage people and you're going to die, right? You're going to have a
Mhm,
long
mhm.
winter of darkness and death, or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
something to that
No, he
effect.
just he just wanted us to vote for Trump over Kamala. That's all that was.
Yeah. The fact that you had that same president mandate that you must inject yourself with chemicals or lose your job,
Mhm,
which took the act of the Supreme Court to stop, and they only stopped half of it. They didn't stop it on the other side.
mhm.
Um, these sorts of things, which, by the way, all of this stuff is for for-profit companies. It's not like it was the government benefiting directly from this. These sorts of things are pure fascism. There's no other term for it. That is
Well, we
these.
read the definition.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
we went
fascism
over that.
all the way
Yeah,
down.
word
And
we went
listen,
point by point.
the
Yeah.
the problem isn't necessarily fascism itself. The problem is that these people will use anything for power. These
Yeah,
people, it doesn't matter. They'd
by
use
any
fascism, communism, anything. Doesn't matter.
by any means. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
how they think. That's how they are. But it's very a lot of happy people, and that's a good thing. We're getting a lot of positivity out of people. They're excited. They're optimistic, which has been a while. Been a while.
yep,
So we'll see. I mean, he's got every bit of every inch of that mandate, right?
yep.
And like I said, so far so good. He's saying the right things. He's doing the right things right now.
The
And
clearest mandate from the American people, 100 years? Got to be close.
I'd say since Reagan,
Yeah, well,
because
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Well, I would say it was, yeah, that's true. Okay, I'll give you Reagan, but I think this one's a little bit bigger because Reagan's was different. Reagan's was just help us, right? This one
right? It
was
was more
drain the
economic.
damn swamp, please, right? It's
Yeah,
not just help us. That's a big part of it, but it's also people have watched what this government has been doing to him specifically and to others, and it's just wrong. There's no way to justify it. You can try all you want, you can spin on your wheels all you want about how bad and evil Trump is. That's great, but what they've done to people who happen to walk into a building, right? They went to a protest and walked into a building when doors were open, or people who protested just outside of a building and didn't really do anything other than protest. These sorts of things are so un-American that in 15, 20 years, if we are able to save this place, people are not going to believe you. They're going to forget that this happened. People have already forgotten the COVID stuff, right?
right.
This sort of stuff is so un-American and so draconian that our brain doesn't process it. And it's one of the reasons why I think people keep saying, why hasn't there been any punishment for the COVID stuff? Why isn't that? Well, first of all, yet, and second of all, um, it's because a lot of Americans cannot process what they just lived through. They can't do it.
Mhm.
Either they became a monster out of fear, or they cowered before monsters out of
Well,
fear, and they just can't process it. It was an unbelievable amount of oppression all over, all
right.
at once, except for a
Well,
few, states here or there.
the thing that amazed me was how little violence actually came out of the non-progressive groups. I
Yep.
mean, yeah, I kind of expect to see a little, but we just didn't get any. And do
Nope.
keep in mind, you do have states like California that Newsom. There's a couple things I want to mention right here, actually, in regards to stuff that's been going on when you weren't paying attention.
Hmm.
Newsom just passed a bill to pay reparations to the black peoples of the California. Now, to just kind of let you know, give you a little bit of history update. You probably learned this in school, maybe, maybe not. California wasn't even a thing
That's correct.
during that whole slavery era. Just keep that in mind. California never had slaves, ever. But yet,
Correct.
we're giving them reparations. Good job, California. Good job. That's genius. And also keep in mind Biden, which I didn't think he'd do this, but he did do it. He signed a bill because you see, Starmer and Macron got together. This Starmer's the gay communist that runs Britain now. And
Yep.
of course, Macron being the little Rothschild banker that
Yep.
runs France. They really, because Trump's coming and they know what that means, peace in Ukraine, right? I
Hmm.
mean, everyone's saying it, including Zelensky and Putin, right? And they can't have that. We can't have no war. What are you talking about? War's great. Look at all the dead Ukrainians. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't it wonderful?
Hmm.
We need more dead. So they got together and created a little coalition between their two governments to pressure Biden on allowing them to give ballistic missiles to Ukraine to attack Russia in country. And
Insanity.
you know what Biden did yesterday?
Oh, I've seen it.
He signed it.
I've seen it. Yeah. Um, that's the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life. Why they insist on poking the bear, I don't understand. I
Because
don't understand it.
because war is good for them. They are
They are just
warmongers.
evil. They're just evil.
Yeah.
Uh, Russia has the ability to hit us. What are you doing? This isn't this. As soon as Russia gets hit in their mainland, it's not a regional conflict anymore.
Hmm.
They can hit anywhere, the whole planet. They have the capacity to do so. What are you doing? Like
No,
this
that
is insanity.
they want total war because they get paid by those lobbyists. And Kirby says, "Oh yes, some of those people are still in prison to this day," which
They
isn't
are
that outrageous? I mean, due
outrageous.
process. I mean, we went through here what a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. We went through the actual Bill of Rights
Yes.
one by one, and it's an odd little document because it literally protects you from that shit. So,
How? Let's take the other ones away. You have the Eighth Amendment, right? The
hmm
one that I actually think we could modify a little bit, but we have the Eighth Amendment.
hmm
How has this not been cruel and unusual punishment for their crimes? Basically, they committed a grievous felony trespass, and they've been in jail for years, and not just jail, federal prison. Some of them in solitary confinement for years.
yeah. No,
That is
no.
a way overcorrection.
Someone
Way
needs to go to
overcorrection.
jail. and,
Yeah,
and
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 these
once
people
again,
need released, and they need paid,
it's
fat
just
paid.
yeah, you do. It's just peanut over and over again.
Yep, yep. That's why I think it resonated. Is people are tired of that. They're tired of the government being just evil for no reason.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no reason to do these things other than you're wicked and like hurting people. That's it.
No, this Biden administration has been very anti-constitutional. And
Yep.
I know some of you in the chat are saying, "Yeah, Chester, it's not just peanut, it's also Fred." Fuck Fred. He's goddamn communist. I have inside information. Okay.
Yeah,
Just
it's
want to get that out there.
it's just disgusting what we've endured, and it felt real good watching Trump win. It feels real good watching him be celebrated by the majority of the American people, not just in the ballot box, but everywhere he's been
Mhm.
since. He's gotten standing ovations. I mean, that crowd went nuts when they showed him on the monitor and he walked out in Madison Square Garden in New York City. Uh, like that's a good sign. It
Yeah,
me because I have said it for a very, 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 very long time. The American people will be okay. The U.S. United States of America, I don't think will be. However, there was one caveat. If someone can get in there, have one term, and go off, I always said it. If they can just go in there and just start hacking and slashing and smashing and tearing this son of a bitch Leviathan out by his root, and burn the swamp. Not just drain it, burn it.
mhm,
Forget it. Let's destroy it entirely and forget it ever existed after we
yeah.
throw these people in, prison.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, we have good precedent for it because look what
yeah,
Milei did down in Argentina. Dude,
yeah.
they're actually making money and positive growth for the first time. Everyone listen very clearly in the history of Argentina.
Yes. Yeah, it works.
It
It
works.
just works. When you
It,
just let creative people, productive people, entrepreneurial people, be themselves and get the fuck out of their way,
yeah.
they just happen to somehow stumble into doing great things. I know,
Yeah,
it's nuts.
it's weird. But like, there's a lot of nonsense we're going to talk to you about today for a little while here in the beginning, and then we're going to go talk about fun stuff for the rest of the time. Okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
we are.
So let's get that out of the way. Now, here's the thing I've been hearing a lot. I'm going to deal with the big one here in a second, but I'm going to deal with the secondary one we're hearing. A lot of these libtards up there on the Instagrams and the tickety talks are
Mhm.
going on about he's going to ban the Department of Education. My kids won't be able to go to school.
Oh, Chester, are you trying to? Is this foreplay? What's going on, bud? What are you doing to me here?
I'm
I
doing
can't
my
get
I'm
much more
doing my
excited.
breathing exercise. They taught my wife when she was going to have like a baby. I'm
Yeah.
practicing. My
Yep.
Lamaze. Is that
Oh my gosh.
yeah. Anyway,
Listen, I'm
um,
for shutting down. Just you know what? Let's just shut them all down and
I
start
would
over.
I would.
Just
I would totally just shut it down and reform everything.
yeah,
Because we do need some federal stuff to cover certain,
yeah,
but mainly the federal,
administration.
other than international stuff, the federal government, what it should be doing is being a liaison between the states. That's the whole
Correct.
intention. Of course, they're
Correct.
not doing that. But
No.
let's deal with this education thing here for a second. And I know I'm
Mhm.
speaking to the choir, but for all you morons out there who won't hear me, the ether will send it to you, though. It will.
It will.
Okay.
It will.
Here's the thing. No one is banning education. There, I
That's
said
right.
it. It's out. I said it. Yeah. No one is banning education. What they're doing is getting rid of a federal department that has no business existing anyway. Do keep in mind for all of you freaking idiots who don't bother to study shit, didn't go to civics class. Although I'm being told that they don't teach that anymore. This whole Department of Education thing was created by Jimmy Carter.
That's correct.
Yeah,
It's
my
very new.
in my lifetime.
That's right. It
This
is
is not an
unnecessary.
ancient thing. The states
You
have
wanna
their
know what is
own
an
board
thing?
of
You
education
wanna know what
units.
is an ancient thing, Chester?
What?
And the Department of Education, if it had an actual, function and was good at its job, could fix, the entire way we do schooling in America is 170 years old. The entire system hasn't really been changed in a very, very long time, and as they made public schools more and more prevalent and got rid of the small schoolhouse that for 100 plus years America was built on, uh, and they standardized things and they made it more and da 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 da. That entire system is completely out of date. There is no reason we should still be doing it exactly as we've been doing it.
No.
And one of the things I think COVID taught a lot of people is how much time is wasted at these schools, how much money is wasted at these schools.
Yeah.
Uh, it's unbelievable. I've been advocating for it for years that we need a complete overhaul, a complete rethink of how we teach these kids.
Well,
One thing I actually agree with somebody, I think it was Kirby said over in the chat, is that these kids need to enter the workforce a lot sooner. I agree. I don't
well,
understand this trepidation. I had a job at 12. 12 years
that's
old. I'm not that
true.
old.
Yeah, so did I. Had my own first little business at 12. Well,
Yeah.
technically, I guess a little bit younger with the snow shoveling thing. But anyway, yeah, a lot of places in the world, what they'll do is they'll create apprenticeships.
Yes.
And kids will go to they get like kind of a primary education, right, up until around
Mhm.
10, 12, and then they'll go into apprenticeships.
Sure.
And of course, in America, we will continue on with our junior high, our high school, and our college, which is just a very extended, clumsy apprenticeship, right?
Yep.
Now, some of those apprenticeships require education, right? Like in
Yes.
India, for instance. If you want to be a doctor, which there are abundance of them, and people say there are a lot of doctors in India. Yeah, they're shit doctors, but there are a lot. But they go through a type of apprenticeship as well through a university system, so they do that.
Yes.
Right, but a lot of other kids, they get their primary education, make sure they can do their numbers and their arithmetics and their the language and all that kind of basic stuff you need to have as a human, and then they go into specifically studying for what they're going to do in their life. Now you could say that is stifling, and
Yep.
sure, but as long as there isn't a law that says you can't change your mind,
Right.
you know.
Right. Yep.
I don't see a problem with it, but that would be
I
helpful.
either.
But the main problem with our education system is this. Now, when I was young, the education system in America was actually pretty good. It was one of the
Yep.
best in the world, right? It ain't that now. Okay,
No.
we're very low now, but when I was young, it was actually pretty good. And then in the 90s, you see, something happened, and this is what happened. They decided that for racism, I guess. Okay,
Mhm.
that there weren't enough black people that could pass the test to become a teacher. So they said, well, let's lower the restrictions so we can get more black teachers. All right, so they made the test dumber so they could get more black people in, and then they still didn't get more black people. Do you know how many times they had to reduce the difficulty of that test to get black teachers in? Anybody?
Too many.
Yeah,
Too
five
many.
times.
That's insanity.
Five times, right?
This insistence on this fanatical egalitarianism, this fanatical equality, is destroying everything, and it has to stop. We have
Mm,
to stop pretending that everybody's qualified for everything. That
right.
everybody, if you just train them enough, they'll be up. No, they won't.
No.
Some people just will never get it. It's
So
okay.
so
They have other things they can do.
there
That's
is
just
other
not one
things
of
they
them.
could do, and honestly, if they wanted, just study more.
Yeah,
But the thing with it is, if we just went back to the old requirements, that would be a huge improvement. And of
yeah.
course, another thing we did because old baby Bush there, he put in that no child left behind thing without any kind of,
Hmm.
system. You know,
Oopsie.
oopsie.
Whoopsie.
And of course, what did all the schools do? They because they were having children, left behind. So what they just kept doing is reducing the difficulty of the tests so the kids would
Yep.
pass and therefore not be left behind. Then they get all their federal money. You see,
That's right.
so removing the board of education would fix a lot of that
Hmm.
instantly. And that's why he's doing it, right? So what do you have? You have Americans today who have graduated high school with an actual diploma, which used to mean something, who can't
Yep.
even read.
Correct.
I'm going to leave that
Correct.
there. I got to pause.
Chester, they can barely speak. If you
Now I
talk to
see
somebody, in fact,
that,
I
but I
talked to
thought that was
one.
just being urban.
No, no, I talked to one today. She was actually a cute. She was pleasant. She was a cute little girl, probably I don't know, late teens, early 20s. Uh, I could barely understand what she was saying. She was a white girl too. Could barely understand what she was saying, and it wasn't
Hmm.
like she had some speech impediment. They're not taught speech anymore, right? They don't take speech classes. They don't have to do
No,
any of
they
that.
don't teach
They're you know what they're
economics or
taught?
civics or anything like that. No
They're taught
PE
about
for
how
fat kids.
evil and bad white people are a
Yeah,
lot. They're taught
yeah,
that a lot.
yeah, yeah,
They're taught that there was no good that came from colonization. That
yeah,
colonization is pure evil, and
yeah.
that anybody who engaged in it deserves to die.
Hmm.
Effectively,
Hmm.
they're taught that the Europeans actually discovered nothing, and we've
Hmm.
just the Europeans took credit for everything,
Yeah.
which is just completely bonkers.
Yeah.
Uh, they're taught all these things that are completely anti-civilizational. That's what they're taught. They're taught anti-civilization, not different civilization, right? Like if you go to certain places in the world, probably even Japan, they'll have their perspective on history and civilization, of course.
Sure.
They're not taught that. They're taught things that are completely and utterly untrue and are completely and
Yep.
utterly
Well,
destructive to the world around them.
let me see if I understand what the shine you're giving me here. Let me see if I can get it.
Hmm.
So what you're telling me is that the Maori
Yeah.
going into the islands we now call New Zealand,
Hmm.
killing the local inhabitants and taking it over, and then go to all the islands around and murdering all them as well, and eating their flesh and using
That's
their
right.
head their severed heads as money. That's not considered colonization.
No, no. See, it's not. When brown people do it, it doesn't count.
Oh, mm,
Yeah.
okay,
I'll give you one going on right now. All the people who flooded into America for no reason other than they could. They're just colonizing because they come here and they take
sure,
over whole areas, and now
sure.
that's little whatever wherever they came from, little Argentina, little Somalia, little Venezuela, whatever. That's just a colony. What's the difference?
Chinatown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the
Um.
difference? It's all just forms of colonization, other
Now.
than white people were better at it and actually built civilization in many of the places, I'd say most of the places they colonized, uh, unlike others who, just fell to barbarism very
Well,
quickly.
The English were certainly better about that than others. We don't want to really talk about the French or the Spanish very
Well,
much.
we don't ever wanna talk about the French,
Yeah, they
Chester,
were
come on.
pretty brutal. But the
Yeah,
English were certainly better about it. I mean, if you want proof, just go to all the little English colonies around the world and see if there's any local people left, the natives. Shockingly,
mhm,
it's like only them. Don't go
yep.
to a Spanish place or a Muslim place, though. You'll be a little bit
Well, in
shocked.
fairness to the Spanish, they did create Latinas, so I can forgive
All right.
'em.
Anyway,
Well, actually, no, Chester, if it was only r sexy young Latinas, because we don't want the old ones because they fall apart. Sexy
they
young
do.
Latinas and sexy Asian girls, sexy petite Asian girls coming across our border, the white bitches would shut that down in a heartbeat. In an instant,
That
that
was
border'd be closed.
that was a good one, Alan. That was a good one. He says, "What shampoo do you cannibals use? Head and Shoulders." That's a good one.
Excellent,
That's a good one.
excellent.
That's a good one. But yeah, of course, it's all nonsense as with everything. But one thing I'm very happy about, though, is the pure positivity of the
Yep,
American people and the vibe that's going on around the world from it. It's kind of we're getting it's feel good time. It's feel good time. I hope it lasts. I do, right?
I do
Uh,
too.
but of course, the board of education thing, I keep hearing about these idiots saying we're not gonna have schools for our kids.
Oh, bro.
Okie
I've
dokie.
had people say
But
that to my face.
yeah,
People I've known my whole life where I said, "No, I think we should close down the Department of Education and we should close down most of these public schools and figure a different way out," something like
okay.
that. And they'll literally say things to my face like, you just don't want people to be educated? Like, where do you
Yeah,
what?
that literally doesn't help America at all. That is not
Yeah.
what's on the table at all. But I thought we'd
Correct.
take a look at the other big topic that's all of a sudden back in the news again, even though this
Oh
has been a
God.
done deal for a long time. Go ahead and read our little CNN's headline here. Go ahead.
See where abortions are banned and legal and where it's still in limbo. Well, they're banned in 0 American
Yeah, well, don't
states.
don't don't give
Um,
away the punchline. All right. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at what CNN is dishing out, and someone please sue them, please, because let's
oh,
take a look
someone
at
is.
this. They
Did
need
you
to
see
be
that?
sued. No, but hopefully someone is getting them because this is ridiculous. Now, if we look here, these teal, which is an interesting color to choose for abortion, it's just legal as far as CNN is concerned. The little kind of tannish beige colors here, it's 6 to 8 weeks limits on gestation, and then the red ones are banned. Now,
Yeah.
now you can do your punchline.
Which punchline was I doing?
There is not a single state in America where abortion is banned.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, there's not a single one.
Not
Um,
one.
it's utterly preposterous for them to even
Mhm.
put this forward because it's just simply a lie. And Chester, what I was referring to is the current president-elect just put out a big lawsuit against basically all the mainstream media, including CNN, for
Good.
$10
10
billion
billion, yeah. I
for
hope
the
he won't win. Yeah.
endless defamation they've been throwing at him.
Yeah.
We'll see. They've been getting
Yeah, he
got
won't.
lately with
He
them
won't win
defamation
that.
suits.
But yeah, maybe we'll see. It would be just icing on the cake because I mean it's not like he
Yep.
needs the money, but just to hurt
No.
them a little bit. But once again, this is from CNN USA. And this is pure bunk. Now,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure if we get into the minutia and I went in here and I clicked on each one of these thingies, you would find out that it's not true. Let's go ahead. Let's choose probably it's going to be the strictest and most, hardcore state in America is probably Alabama, right? I mean,
Mhm.
do we agree? We agree. Okay, let's go to Alabama. Let's click on the Alabamas. No, I can't. Why do you have something that I can't click
Oh,
on?
look at that. That's hilarious. All right, let's look it up. Let's look it up over here because you know they're lying.
True, but they even in their own details, abortion is banned with no exceptions for rape or incest. So what they're saying is, in Alabama, it's 100% banned, no matter what. You can't get an abortion in any case at all. That's what CNN is telling you. There is no situation you can get an abortion in Alabama. That's what CNN is telling you.
Yep.
Let's see what the truth is, shall we? And I think
Well,
we
the truth is,
yeah,
it is according to this, it is banned. However, there are exceptions. One of those exceptions where you won't, there's no legal ramifications if you go get one. You can leave. You can't have it done in Alabama, but you can go out of the state and have it done in basically all the normal exceptions. So technically, yes, they are correct. It is banned, but there's no ramifications for you to go get one.
right.
So I can ban anything, right? I can ban I don't know, vitamin C. Can't buy vitamin C now. Well, but if you go over here, like to the other state and buy it, I'm not. It's fine. Then it's not really banned. See what I'm saying? Like if there's not a punishment for you doing it, somewhere else and coming back, then they haven't actually banned anything. Here's a good example. Marijuana, for instance, in many states is now legal, right? Perfectly legal, no big deal. But the federal government has it banned still. It's still a banned substance.
Right.
They can come and stop you for having it. They can come and arrest you, jail you, do the whole thing if they want to. They can still enforce that. That's what a ban is. A ban isn't just occasionally or in this one area you can't do a thing. A genuine ban would be something where you couldn't do it ever. So the fact that they allow you to have exceptions as long as you go out of the state, it's not really banned. It's just they put one step in front of you. We'll call it that.
Right, and I'm actually surprised they went that far. That must have been when on the current election thing
It's
that they came in.
it is. It just went into
Yeah.
effect in the summer. So it's not going to stand. They'll get
Yeah.
it knocked down.
No, there's no way. I mean, because the simple fact of the matter is there needs to be compromise, which is one of the things that Trump is trying to do, right? Because look at his party. His group. He put together a unity party, right? Is what
Yep.
he's done. And that's what we need. You have to compromise. You can't if you even if you're a person that thinks that abortion shouldn't be allowed in any situation whatsoever, you can't die on that hill.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here's an actual law site. So that other site was lying. Abortion is legal in Alabama unless there is a serious health risk to the woman. So it's not even totally banned by
I
any
didn't
definition.
think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they keep on going on with stuff like being arrested for having a miscarriage and all this kind of other
Yeah.
nonsense. It's like, where have you ever even heard this?
No.
But I mean, it's
And
just pure lies, right?
even if it was, okay. If the people of Alabama want it that way, so be it. It's their
Yeah, go
decision.
to another
Not my
state.
decision to
Yeah,
make it.
that's fair.
Yep. It's not like it's that hard. We have the interstate system for one thing, and for two, uh, they're a sovereign state. If that's what the way they want their laws to be, so be it. I personally can't stand marijuana. I think it's disgusting. Uh,
Mhm.
some places still have it banned. Some places don't. I think Ohio actually doesn't have it banned anymore. And it's one of those things where the people there should be able to make this decision. The fact that the federal government ever had the authority, or claimed it anyway, to decide this is wrong. I
It's
don't care
it's
what it is.
completely unconstitutional. It's very
Yeah.
clear, especially with the 10th Amendment. Go read it. It's very
Yep.
clear that it's supposed to be state stuff. It's very clear. And that's simple fact of the matter. If you don't like the state you're in, move to a new one. You can move freely between states, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
If it's
Um,
that important to you, look at all these beautiful states you can move to. You can even move to Ohio, a very red state, but we have some of the laxest abortion laws in the country.
yeah.
It's literally in our Constitution now. They actually have a constitutional right in Ohio for an abortion.
Yeah, but this argument and this conversation, I'm sure YouTube's having a heyday today. But
Hmm.
this conversation, it goes even deeper than this, right?
Hmm.
Let's take a look at what we consider to be the standard argument, right? Say you have a girl, she wants to get an abortion, and the guy, it doesn't matter if it's a boyfriend, casual acquaintance, or husband, it's irrelevant. She has complete control. He has no say whatsoever, right? She kills the
Right.
baby. It's her choice. His opinion is meaningless. However, let's reverse it, right? And let's say that she wants to keep it, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't want it. I want you to abort it." And she said, "No, you have no say in the matter. I can do whatever I want." But yet, whereas in the first situation, he has no recourse whatsoever, fuck off man. In the second one, now he's on the hook for 18 years of payment
At
to
least.
child support, right?
Yep.
And the simple fact of the matter is, if you want to have that kind of this universal abortion thing in place, you need to give men some recourse on the back end.
Yes,
But they won't do that, of
100%.
course.
No, 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 no. Women give up power? No, no, that ain't gonna happen. Um, no, that's exactly correct. There's no if we're gonna say that's not a human life that deserves, the basic human right to life. Okay, then the man should be able to walk away from it just as he is anything else.
Hmm.
Just, just, just period. Like he should have to sign a little whip, boop, boop. Okay, I don't recognize the child as my own. I don't want it.
Hmm.
A fine. They call them financial abortions, effectively, where you back out. It's like, as if the kid was never even yours because you didn't consent to the child, right?
Yeah, they should have something
Um,
like that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't
Some
agree
places
with
do.
any of those scenarios,
I don't
but they
either.
should have something like
Some
that.
places do.
Um,
But most of those places, the mother has to agree to it, which is insane.
Yeah,
It's insane.
it's just complete. The whole situation's unfair. Alan says it costs around 5 G's to move a family out of state. Not everyone has that. Well, shit, it cost me 200,000 to move from Hawaii to Japan. Then again, I did buy a house and cars and stuff, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, not everybody has that. Um, I guess. I mean, I
Well, I mean, they
guess.
don't because our economy is so lovely. But there's ways around everything, and there's you can if you really want out of a situation, you'll get out of it.
Well,
Unless
yeah,
you're physically incapable, you're gonna find a way out.
well, how about this? Just as a suggestion, what are condoms running in America right now?
In many places, they're basically free.
Okay, so for free, or whatever the cost is at your local convenience store, you cannot get pregnant.
You could just not come in her. I
Yeah,
I don't understand the lack of self-control. I've
even
never understood it. I've
e-
never had a problem,
even
ever.
that works. Pull out, but I mean, honestly, just get a condom, or if it's a girl who's very promiscuous, which it seems most all of them are, just get
Mhm.
an IUD or go get whatever various things there are available to you. A little bit of foresight and a little bit of contraception. I
No, in
don't.
in the year of our Lord 2024, pregnancy is a choice. You want to talk about pro-choice? If you're pregnant accidentally, at some point you decided that that accidentally was on purpose because you have, especially as a woman, you have hundreds of ways to avoid it.
Yeah,
Not the least of which is just don't have sex with the guy.
yeah, but it's because one of the big problems with it is, and here's the thing with this subject, because this will never go away. It's always going to be an argument, right? There's even you do keep in mind, even in Rome, they had arguments about this shit,
Yep.
right? This is not a
Yep.
new topic, but here's the thing: even if we agree, and I think most humans do, that there are situations where it's viable, and thank goodness we have a safe way to do such things, right? Because it didn't always used to be that way, right? But no matter what the situation, even if we agree that we need to compromise and there's certain situations very viable, you're still killing a human.
Yep.
Whether we agree that okay, you can kill that human or not, that aside, you're still killing a human being.
That's correct.
There is no way around that conversation. And that's
Yep.
why they use the word fetus, by the way, because they want to
Yep.
dehumanize it. But
Well,
it,
they also know that most people don't know what that word actually means.
well,
So
they,
they think, they're able to give that one degree of separation to
uh
prevent cognitive dissonance.
I'm a
But
philologist. I can translate it if you'd like.
go ahead.
Baby.
Oh, whoops. Whoopsie.
Did I
Oopsie-doodles.
do something wrong? I felt like
Oopsie-doodles.
I should have done the Urkel
I have
imitation.
literally in person watched pro-abortion people have a mind break and cry when you tell them that, when you show it to them, when you prove that that's the same, it means the same thing.
It just means
They tricked
baby.
you.
It's just the
They
Latin
tricked
word
you.
for baby.
They convinced you this wasn't a person, so you'd be okay with killing it. That's what they
Yeah.
did,
But I'm just
and you
saying,
bought it.
we can agree. that we can, allow it in certain circumstances, right? Sure, we can
Mhm.
agree on that, but let's not be so callous and I would
Enjoy it.
and cavalier, yeah, in simply saying that you're still killing a human life. You're still doing that. That is
Yes.
happening. A human life has just been extinguished. And like I said, I'm not sitting here saying that abortion should be illegal. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying let's not be a bunch of dicks and sit
Here's
and act
my
like we're not actually killing a child because that's what you're doing. Fuck off.
here's my
Stop it.
full position on it. Abortion should be illegal, but we don't live in should land. We live in the real world, and in the real world, things happen. So you have to be able to compromise that. The problem is we
Yeah,
have
we
so
have to.
many
Yeah.
full-on abolitionists, and I agree with you in principle. I wish we could make it so no one can ever do that, but that's insane. I say we don't live in the utopia world where that makes sense. We live in the real world, and in the real
Yeah.
world, you have to adjust
Right.
policy against principle.
Right.
Yes, the ideal is this. The ideal is nobody murders. That's the ideal. Nobody gets killed unrighteously. Nobody gets killed unjustly. There's no murder. But that's
No
not the real world.
war, no
Yeah.
theft, no
Nobody goes
abuse, no
hungry. Yeah.
violence. Wouldn't that be
That would be
great?
great. But that
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
No.
That doesn't
What a
exist.
shame. And we don't even
So you
try to
gotta live in the
make it
world you live in.
exist. That's the thing that pisses me off. We
Yeah.
don't even try to make it happen.
Well, because it's easier to talk about wanting it than doing it.
Of course,
It's
that
a
is
lot
very
easier
true.
to
That is
pretend to
very true.
virtue
That
than
is
to be
very true.
virtuous.
However, with this conversation, and I'm mentioning it because it's the big noise you're all hearing. Of course, we're all
Yeah.
hearing it, and we're going to move on here in a second. But I've heard a lot of states and stuff that want to just have just set it at the heartbeat situation, which is what, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
And okay, cool. I'm good with that. I'm
Mhm.
good with that. Now, crazy ass places like Hawaii and California and others that basically up until the moment that it breaches the canal, dude,
No, that's evil.
dude,
That's just child sacrifice at that point. Uh, yeah. No, it's another one that I've literally in person watched because I have a friend who this is what she does. She works with a lot of pro-life places and alternative places that try and get women to not have abortions, like offer them options. Because she, when she was very young, was in a situation where she had to give up a baby for adoption, and um, she's very sensitive to it. She understands how much that sucks and how much it hurts and how much all of it sucks, right? The whole situation. But regardless, I've seen how many of these people they've just been deceived. They've been lied to and they don't know it. And most of them will not accept it. One of I think it's Mark Twain's quote, it's much easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them that they've been fooled. Uh, because that's just the truth.
that's very
Most
true.
people
Yeah,
most people would rather continue to believe a lie than to be shown the truth if that truth is hard, if it hurts,
yeah,
if it breaks that cognitive dissonance, or just it's just evil, it's just bad, it's not a good truth. Uh, it's a very rare person, and I'd say everybody's guilty of that to some degree at some different points, but it's a very, very rare person that can face the truth for real. And even when it's hard, even when it hurts, and absorb it and adapt to it. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah. It
We don't
takes a lot of
live
courage. It does.
Yeah, we don't live in a world where you get to have everything you want. We don't live in a perfect little cookie cutter world. You have to be able to look at the truth, look at reality, and say, okay, well, that isn't going to work. So, how do we get most of it? How do
Right.
we get the best version of it with this reality still?
Where's our
And that is
compromise?
what yeah, that is what I think we're getting with this current government coming in. I think we have a bunch of people who are able to look at reality in that way instead of looking at it as they want it to be. They look at it as it is and then adapt to that.
Right.
And that is what is sane. That's
And they
that's
can,
what you
and
should
right,
do.
and they can come to middle ground, which is what everyone's
Yes.
supposed to be doing. I will add this on, and then we'll move on to more happy subjects.
Oh yeah.
Um, Here's the thing. I've known people, and I'm sure many of you know people who have had to go through an abortion, and it devastated them. Some of them
Mhm.
it did for a short time, others it was a longer time. However, I don't understand how many of these women running around so proud and elated that they just had their 10th abortion. I don't understand this mentality.
They're evil.
Yeah.
That's it. We have to we like I say it a lot, we have to just stop being afraid to call evil, evil, and good, good. These people are evil. These women are evil. The people involved in these things are largely evil. It just that's it.
Hmm.
That's it. Because a lot of people get this cynicism, this snarkiness that evil is, there's no such thing as evil. Everything's shades of gray. No, no. First of all, in order for there to be gray, that means there's black. You understand? In order for gray to exist, that means there's bad. Because gray is neutral, which means it's in the middle. So that means there's a side to this that isn't good. Therefore, if there is a shade of gray, somewhere there's black. Also means, which is the good news, somewhere there's white. There's the good and there's the bad.
Right.
But my point is, it's kind of like how the whole trans debate, right? They talk about trans, and gender's a spectrum. Well, yeah, kind of. But at the ends of each of those spectrums are male and female.
Yeah.
That's it. You're going to be one
Well,
or the other at the end of the day.
and
The end of the day, you're ended up there.
they're all emulating one or the other anyway.
Yes.
So I mean,
Yes. So
honestly, let's
if
get a grip.
everything's shades of gray, then somewhere out there is black. And people who celebrate murdering children, I don't know what could be worse.
Yeah,
What's
it
worse
is
than that
really
as a person?
weird. It's really weird. But with the trans thing though, because that didn't even come up at all. And keep in mind, I don't even think Trump mentioned abortion either, because he's already said it's a done deal. But the trans thing never came up. But the thing with that is, I don't. The vast majority of people don't really care how you cosplay. I mean,
Right? We
honestly,
don't care.
we don't
We don't
really
care.
give
And
a
a lot of us
shit.
will even play along with you a little bit as long as you're not cruel, as long as
Sure,
you're not an idiot.
but it should not be, let me use a word that they like a lot, systematic.
That's correct.
It should not be
Yeah.
something that is part of the government that is law.
Where they
Your
screwed up,
cosplay has nothing to do with law.
yes. Where they screwed up was the compulsion, the constant trying to compel people using the force of law to to acquiesce to what they want, to kneel,
Well, they
to
love to
say
throw
to
the
say
word
these words.
systemic around, right? It's just their favorite
Yes.
thing, right?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, in America, it doesn't even make any sense. There is no systemic anything. We're a new country for one, and for two, unless you're talking about the Constitution and the constitutions of the individual states, there is nothing systemic. We are the
Yeah.
government. We can
I
change it.
I don't recall there being a law saying that you cannot cosplay.
Correct.
I'm
There's no
I'm
law saying you
I'm
cannot say
pretty
that you're a woman.
sure there could be some obscure state law somewhere, I suppose. I'd imagine in Massachusetts there's probably still a law against witchcraft. I know in Colorado you're not allowed to marry your mule. And
Well,
other
I mean,
weird little laws. But as far as I know, there is no actual law against you, a man dressing as a woman, or vice versa. As far as I know, I have never heard of such a thing.
there probably is, but when has it been enforced? Right? Like, come on. Because there's a lot of laws on the books that have been there forever that nobody's ever
Well, in
even heard
some of
of
the
or
old
enforced.
European and Asian countries, sure,
Yeah.
but I in
There
America
might
though,
be you might be able to get it under public indecency or something. It would have to be, it would just depend.
yeah,
That's
but
one of the
you're
problem with
reaching,
vague
dude.
laws. Yeah, well, that's the problem with vague laws like that is somebody can reach. I just watched a lady get arrested for endangering her child because her child left her home when she wasn't there and walked to town about a mile.
Not even, not dude. It was
Yeah,
not even. It was half a mile.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
she was
that's in
arrested for
Georgia.
this. I said, well, my parents should have been buried under the prison. Holy
Yeah.
shit. I was
Shit.
walking all around in the country, in the woods,
Yeah.
all by myself at like 8 years old.
Miles, miles.
Miles.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of, it's the nanny state bullshit. right?
Yep.
And it makes me chuckle because I live over here in Japan, and you'll literally see little teeny kids on the subways traveling across the frickin' the entirety of the country. We see it every day, little kids traveling on their own. You know why you can do it here in Japan? Would you like to know the secret? It's not a complicated secret, but it is a secret.
Mhm.
Yeah, all the adults look out for them and care
That's right.
about their well-being, even though they
That's
don't
right.
know the kid and have no clue even the kid's name. But when you see a kid around, or an old person, for instance, you just kind of keep an eye out for them. You know,
Yep.
if someone drops something on the ground, people will lean over to help them pick it up. Weird little shit like that.
You
Japanese.
have no idea, bro, how many weird looks I've gotten from strangers for doing stuff like that. Not the person I'm doing it for. They're usually, gracious. But other people will, they act like you're some kind of, I don't know, a creep or something, just because, you help somebody out who didn't
Yeah,
for nothing. You
it's
gain
weird.
nothing from this. Uh, it's a very strange anti-hospitality shit that's in the West now that's completely foreign to the West because we were the ones who created it. It needs to die, and I think it is dying. I'm telling you, there's a total vibe shift. My generation was a complete wash. Gen X was basically a wash because the boomers wouldn't get out of their damn way, and you have the Gen Z kids coming up, and they're different, man. Some of them are real dumb. Of course they are. They're young. They're real fucking dumb, but they're just different. They like some of that old timiness, right? They like the manners and the respect and the manliness and the masculinity. Because all of these things that we're talking about, yes, they were enforced typically by the females, but these are masculine prescriptions on society, manners, these sorts of things. And the reason they are is because as men, we know if we cross the line, it's violence, it's hands, it's
Sure,
fighting.
sure,
So we create this code to make sure everybody's civil, make sure there's not anybody getting beat
sure.
up over nonsense.
Bust the balls, not the face. Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And
Um.
women were largely the ones who would enforce that on young men before they became men, like children, and on women, other women.
Yeah.
Um,
Of course.
these sorts of things are coming back in a way that the system just wasn't prepared for. It
Mm,
just wasn't. And it's so obvious it wasn't because you can see how they're reacting. They're going to apoplexia, they're going full tyranny. And that's just not going to work.
mm.
I've
Right.
read history books. This has been tried before, guys. You
It
lose every
has,
time.
yeah. And just to kind of finish off with the kid thing here in Japan, I've seen a situation where kids are on a subway or something like that because they got to travel some distance to go to grandma's house or something, right? And the parents bring them to the train and drop them off, and they ride the train. And of course, all the adults and the conductors and attendees and all that kind of stuff are paying attention, right? But of course, they're a little kid traveling by themselves, and they can get spooked and maybe get a little whiny because they're scared, right? And the oddest thing that the adults around do, usually the men leave it to the women, and the women take that role, right?
That's right.
As they should. But you know what the women say to these little kids? Would you like to guess? What these yet a kid is, he's traveling by themselves, say like an 8, 9, 10 year old, something like that,
Mhm.
and they're traveling by themselves, and they're a little scared, a little spooked. You can see, obviously, kids can't control their emotions like we can. Would you like to guess what these women say to these children?
I don't know. What do they say?
Come on now, you got to be a big, strong boy or girl. You're going to get
Right.
there soon. You're just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Toughen
So they
up,
tell them to suck
Buttercup.
it up, Buttercup.
Yeah. You'll be fine.
And you know what the
Everything's
kids do?
fine.
They suck
They
it
suck
up.
it up. And they stop being Buttercup. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, no, there's this weird infantilization that's happened in the West in the last 20 years, especially. And it's got to stop. It
It
has
does.
to stop. Because this idea, Chester, I've literally seen things where people call a man who's 25 dating a 20-year-old a pedophile.
What?
I've seen it. I've seen it with my eye holes. I said, What?
Shit.
I've seen them where they said 23-year-olds dating a 19-year-old. That's a pedophile. What?
Jesus, my
She's
grandfather was 20 when he married my 14-year-old grandmother.
exactly. This is my point. We've infantilized people so much. Like the other day, they're trying to say Matt Gates had sex with some 17-year-old girl. I'm like, okay,
So,
so
who
oh
cares?
she's not 18. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm sorry, you're 17. You should know whether you want to have sex with somebody or not. If you don't, there's a
Yeah.
problem. Are we saying she's
No,
retarded and he had sex with a retarded girl? Because that's a different conversation.
it is, and America's kind of broken on that. The vast
Yeah.
majority of this planet, and I mean the vast majority of this planet, the age of consent is 16.
Yes.
That's what it is
Yep.
on the planet, and the reason why they choose that is because medically, if a
Right.
girl gets pregnant at 16, she is just as viable to have that birth as healthy as a 28-year-old,
Right.
right?
Maybe even better.
That's
But
what probably better. And the reason they don't go younger is because every year you go younger, the woman's threat to her life, because she's just not big enough, becomes greater and greater. So everyone's like,
right.
well, 16 is the first year where it's really generally healthy for all. Now, that's not saying there aren't some 15 or 14-year-olds who can have a baby no problem. That's not the point. The point is,
Mhm.
in general, 16 is where you can actually start being adult. You can start adulting as far as the world is concerned. Now, in
Right.
America, I don't know how in the hell we got to this point. Well, I do know as feminists. Uh, but
Yep.
um, but whatever that is, okay, it's the law. Fine. You know, there's plenty of laws that are stupid, I
Yeah.
guess.
No, I'm not even making that up, bro. I've literally seen people say, if you're 30 years old and you're dating anybody under the age of, I think it was 23, you're a pedophile. I'm like, what? Well,
Yeah.
first of all, why is it, if there, is everybody's an adult, a consenting adult, why is it your business?
Well,
Is
shit.
it any of your business
Don't go
at
to the
all?
Middle East, buddy. You ain't
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
like that very much. The shit that's going on
It's
over
just
there.
this weird puritanicalism that the left has brought into this country with their, because they're
But
hideous, ugly ghoul creatures that no one will have sex with. So therefore, you're not allowed to have sex. How dare you? Uh, it's got to stop, and I think it is going to stop. I think we're starting to see it stop. I think you're seeing a return. Like I changed my profile picture on here of John Jones and Donald Trump doing the old Predator, Carl Weathers and Schwarzenegger handshake.
right, right.
Perfect symmetry in the meme.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, that that energy has returned,
Mm.
and I don't think it's going away because Chester, you know history, I know history. One of the things that started the Dark Ages, that caused as what we call the Dark Ages, the
Which
fall of the
one?
fall of the fall of the Western Roman Empire, of
Oh, that
course,
one. Okay.
fall, and then the Christ, what some people call the Christian Dark Ages, which really it's a misnomer, but
Well, technically, it was a
the
comet that struck South Africa in the year
the one of the
537, but
reason
I get your point.
one of the reasons we had that era though, where you had this stupefying of the populace, right? People got the quality of everything kind of went down in many ways, right? One of the reasons that happened, one of the reasons why feudalism, the way it happened, did happen, was a hatred of the common man, of the peasant, of the whatever you want to call the serf. These sorts of things were very common, even in the church at the time. Was the constant demonization of man bad, man bad, man bad, and by man I mean men, men
Yeah.
bad, men bad, man bad. And it happened. You can go read even the so-called saints would endlessly flagellate themselves for being born a man. Uh, that ended slowly, but eventually, and especially once we got to the Renaissance, you got the first real printing of the Bible in languages people could actually, read. Uh, and then you also had the rediscovering and the redistribution of the classical works that celebrated masculinity in a way that nothing they were reading did because the Catholic Church was so feminized, it was insane. Uh, I mean, even look how they revere Mary, which is completely unbiblical. Uh, my point is, this has happened before. It's happened very often, very regularly. We know that the Western Roman Empire had a big thing with trannies and stuff right near the end of it. Uh,
They did.
this sort of
They
stuff
did.
is not new. This has happened before, and the only way to correct it is the men have to just say no.
Well, sure.
Just simply say no. We are not pieces of crap. We are not garbage. We are not rapists and toxic and all these things. We are men and we're good and we're going to pursue beauty. And then when that happens, renaissances happen. The last one
Sure.
lasted for a very, very long time and it was dominated by masculinity. It was dominated by men making beautiful things and inventing and discovering and rediscovering beautiful things. Women too, but mostly men. Uh, that's a good thing. And I actually think we have a chance to do that again. I
Sure.
do. I genuinely
Well,
do.
when men are maintaining the infrastructure and women are maintaining the social structure, the culture, things go
Yep.
well. They do.
It gets better. And then
And
when we also make sure that we're not treating the normal man, the average man, with derision, when we're not driving them down just for existing, what doesn't matter what their skin color is, that messes with men. Because the thing that and by the way, people who do this know this, the thing that every man wants and craves on a deep level is respect.
mhm.
Just respect. It doesn't have to be praise. Doesn't even necessarily have to be worship, any of that. Just basic respect. It's why so many people who used to have a very, very negative opinion of a guy like Donald Trump, they meet him, they talk to him, they hang out with him for a little bit, and they just love him. All of a sudden. It's because the stories I've heard throughout my whole life is that even though, Trump's this big shot and he's rich and he's all that, when he talks to a normal person, he just talks to him.
Well, dude, the
He just
guy's
respects him.
freaking eating McDonald's with RFK on the goddamn Trump one. I mean,
Eh,
did you
I
see the
love it.
look on Bobby's face? He was like, "Oh
Yes,
my
he's like,
god, oh
"Oh,
my
what am I
god,
doing?"
this is not why I'm here, Donald." But it's so funny. Anyway, let's move on to fun stuff. Uh,
Let's
but
move
uh,
on to fun stuff, everybody.
yeah, and I will end that with one very simple thing. You know, there's a very positive vibe, dude,
Yep,
and it's wonderful.
yep,
Yeah, it is
yep, it
wonderful.
is.
But let's
It's
go into
very
some
good
fun
to
stuff.
see.
Yeah.
We're going to the fun stuff. Booster, I know
Now,
you don't wanna be spoiled, so if you're in the
dude,
chat, get
well,
out of
you
here.
know what? Let's leave this to after and go to these other things I want to do. We'll come
Okay,
back
hang
to
on.
that.
Hang out then, Booster. We're not gonna
All
spoil it
right.
yet. We're gonna get there.
Now, you guys probably know by now that I love horror movies. It's one of
You
my
do. You're a
that's my
woman. We
favorite.
got it.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yep.
my favorite thing. And you know, I don't watch a lot of dramas unless someone puts a gun to my head. Romantic comedies, I you crucify me, I suppose. Yeah. But mainly, action, fantasy, science fiction, horror. I just want to be entertained. I don't need lecturing. I don't need to, oh my God, we had such a wonderful life. Fuck off. Go find your own real life. I want something that's just entertaining. Nevertheless,
Yeah.
I did watch, I had some time this weekend and I actually watched three horror movies. Three,
Uh-oh.
three.
Trace?
Yeah, I
Trace.
caught up. I was catching up to the new stuff I haven't got to yet. And of course, I'm going to start with least to best. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Now, have you seen Smile 2?
I have not. I
Have you
did see
seen?
most of the first one.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, the first one I actually kind of enjoyed. It built tension pretty well, which the second one did as well. Did about the same. And it was interesting, a little bit different take, a little bit. But the monster reveal at the end is wonderful. It's one of the best monster reveals in all of cinema, really. It's such a
Pretty good.
great, it's really good. It's a
Yep.
really good monster reveal. Now the second one comes out. Now understand, this has a higher rating than the first one. I don't know what they're smoking.
Apparently Booster agrees with you. He called it, and I quote, "garbage movie."
Yeah, no, and the thing is, the actress that they picked for this here, and I did bring up where is it? I had one of them here. I guess I'll just go off of this one. No, I should do it separately. So Smile 2. Let's just go to the IMD iDubbbz.
iDubbbz, yeah.
All right. All right. So let's go here. Now, here's the thing. This girl right here, this Naomi Scott, no clue. There's no one in the movie I really recognize except for the one dude from House, the little short Jew guy from House, right?
Yeah. He pops
Anyways,
up every now and again.
yeah, yeah, he's fine. Now, let's be fair. The acting in it is fine. I think she did fine. But the real problem that the girl runs into is this. They want, and spoilers, by the way, you know, just so spoilers. But the thing with it is, they had an idea where they wanted to have the smile is an idea of it's more like an infectious parasite demon,
Hmm.
and it will kill itself, kill the host that it's in. in front of others, therefore transferring the curse or the parasite, right? Is how it works, right?
Right.
And they wanted to go the route of having a world level diva mega pop star. And then, of course, the reveal of her death at the end, affecting large numbers of people. That I get the concept. Okay.
Mhm.
I understand what they were going after. And if that's what they wanted to do, then they should have hired someone else, right? Because
Mm.
this girl right here, there's many roles I think she'd been fine in, but she does not sell world level diva pop star for even a second, dude.
Excellent.
She doesn't sell it at all. It's completely takes you out of it the whole damn movie because they keep presenting her as she's supposed to be this big megastar. Dude, she doesn't she doesn't have that vibe. She would have been better as like, some trailer trash or something. She could have sold the shit out of that,
Yep.
right? Or some, street kid or skateboarder punk or something like that. She could sell that. Which now I haven't seen the Jasmine. She played Jasmine in the remake with Will Smith,
Oh God.
but I'd never watched it. But I can, by looking at this, she can sing a bit, but I can see why it flopped because she ain't selling no princess either, right? And I'm not saying her acting was bad because it wasn't. She just isn't what they needed her to be, right?
Right.
And so it's all there. It's constantly pulling out of the narrative. They were really cool in the first movie. In the second movie, none of it was real. That thing, right? And it's
What?
like, yeah, that doesn't work, dude. And then the reveal of the monster at the end, where the first movie was stunningly good. It's the best part of the movie is the reveal of the monster. The second one, dude, I can't remember the last time I saw a reveal of a monster worse. I mean, it's so shockingly bad, the reveal of the demon, right? As how do you do that? How do you go from one of the best reveals ever to whatever dog shit that was?
I don't know.
I don't know how I can say more. Don't watch this frickin' movie, dude.
Don't
Um,
do it.
don't
Ain't
do
worth it.
it, man. No, that's not. We're doing this over here. We're doing this. We're doing this right here. Yeah, don't waste your time. Go watch the first one. It's an interesting little movie. I give it a good, I don't know, six. First one. This one right here, I give it, even though it's like rated a 7.2, they're smoking something, dude. I give this a four.
I give the first one probably about a 5, 5.5, but I'm
Yeah.
harsh on,
Yeah. No. No.
horror
No.
movies.
I even that I would accept. Uh,
It does have a little bit of the psychological
it
horror because
does.
there's
It's not
something
bad.
creepy about a
Yeah.
smile that's creepy, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's just something
It
about it.
and it's slightly different, even though it's not. It feels a little different, and of course that monster reveal it just gives it a whole point unto itself, right?
Yep.
But yeah, the first one is fine. Go watch it. It's a nice little popcorn horror movie, dude. This is like wow, dude, wow. And I don't even want to be too harsh on the girl because I thought her acting was fine. It's just you're trying to sell her, and I get why they wanted to do it because they want to. We're going to get a franchise here, is what they're thinking, right? So therefore it exposed itself to tens of thousands of people, therefore it's spreading its disease, right? I get that. I get what they wanted to do, but if that's what you wanted to do, you needed to find an actress that could sell it, right? I mean, if you look at, say, like Ariana Grande, who I think they were trying to emulate here. Now Ariana can barely sell the global diva, barely. And the only reason she can is because she's super cute. She is super
Mhm.
cute. But but she's not. She doesn't really sell that. She's not walks into a room and all eyes are on her, which is what you need. That you need that kind of glamour to be that, right? But and I really think they were going with this because not only is this actress, she can't sell it, but she's super teeny, super teeny human. And that's another problem because now you have a stubby body. Because when they get real short, they get stubby, right? And she's got that problem going on as well. But I don't know. It's just I don't want to be so mean to her because I thought her acting was fine. But it was bad casting or just bad plot or just don't watch this movie.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't waste
Do
your
other
time.
things.
'Cause I'm
Not
telling you, if
this.
you manage to sit through the whole thing and then at the end they're like, "Ah, ha, ha, none of that you just saw was real," it's gonna piss you
Yep.
off, and then they show you that monster reveal, you're gonna throw something at the TV, dude.
Just,
Yeah, you don't wanna
instead,
break those. Those are expensive.
if you need to watch a movie at that moment, go
Mhm.
watch The Batman
Yeah.
again, to be
Yeah, yeah.
prepared to watch The Penguin
Yeah,
later.
yeah, we're getting to it. We're gonna get to it. Alright, let's look at the second one I saw here. Now this is kinda interesting, because, of course, we had a couple of prequels for the Omen series come out at the same time. The one that got all the attention was Immaculate. Did you watch Immaculate?
Nope.
It's it's very meh. It is kind of got that classic feel, which is neat until the end, and then it becomes like 70s weird hippie movie.
Mhm.
For me, it's like a five at best. Four and a
Mm.
half. I wasn't really enamored with Immaculate whatsoever. However, this is the same type of thing. It's a prequel to The Omen, but this thing here knocks it out the park, dude. This is I don't know what the hell they were thinking with Immaculate. They got too fancy, too artsy with it. This coming out of 20th Century Fox, I think, is this the company put this out. But this movie right here, this is exactly what Immaculate should have been. And the sad thing is, Immaculate got all the attention, mainly bad attention, and everyone totally missed on this one
Yep.
because they come out at the same time. But this is the better one. The first Omen, they don't shy away at all, dude. And it really lays the thing about prequels, it should it should add information to the story you already know, right? Am I wrong on that? I mean, it should build on the
Yep.
plot, build on the cosmology, right? It should give you
Yes.
more because we already know
Expand.
expand, right? Because we already have three omens, right? So we need to kind of really understand, and if you think about Omen, for all of those you who've seen it, if not, it's a good blast from the past. Go check it out. But we know that the in those three movies, there's an organization behind it that is making it happen. Now, they don't give you a lot of details on them, right? Which is good in storytelling. So it's very vague, and you kind of just assume it's like Satanists and things like that. I'm not going to give you any spoilers on this movie, but it really lays out its cosmology beautifully. This girl does a solid job. Everyone does a solid job, and they don't play around at all, dude. They are not playing around. This is if you're a squeamish or you can't take brutality and some of that, heavier horror stuff, don't watch this movie. But
Mm.
I was really happy with it. It's a perfect set piece for the Omen trilogy. It really is.
That's good. That's good.
Have you seen it?
Nope.
Wow,
I don't
you're not keeping up with
I don't
anything
watch
I'm doing
horror I
today.
don't watch horror movies, my friend. We've been over this. The last one I watched was I think probably Smile, and that was no, well, if you count, Late Night with the Devil as a horror movie,
Oh, that was
I watched
great.
that,
I love
but
that
that's
movie.
great.
That was a great movie.
Um,
Yeah.
but that's great because it's the kind of horror I want. It's surreal, it's surrealist, it's mental more than it is anything else. I That's what I like, and most of these movies they just don't do that anymore.
Mm.
Smile does it a little bit. The creepy smile demon is pretty cool. But yeah, I just don't like horror movies. It's because they don't scratch the itch I'm looking for. I want to think about this movie when I'm going to bed at night. Right? That's what I
Yeah.
want. I
Yeah.
want that to pop into my head like, "Oh
Yeah.
man, that was
Yeah.
fucking weird. What was that?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, Late Night with the
Right?
Devil was excellent. That was really good.
It is.
This
Yeah.
movie right here, though, for all of you who like horror movies and if you enjoy the Omen series, like I said, if you haven't seen it, it's a real good blast from the past. It's one of those movies you can enjoy. It stands up, right?
Yep.
They're not the best thing ever, but they're just fun,
Yep.
standard Christian revelation, end of the world, apocalypse, antichrist stuff, right?
Yep.
This is a perfect, I guess I could use the word book front to that series. They did a good job. They did a good job.
Good job.
And me personally, if I were ever to suggest Omen, I would say watch this and then the other three. They do go
Hmm.
together beautifully. So thank you for that, whoever it was who made this, because I didn't care enough to pay attention. But I enjoyed it. My last one before we start talking about the what we're really here to talk about.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
I've never even heard of this. What's this?
now listen to Papa Chester. Okay, um, this is the best horror movie of the year. Listen to me, hear me.
I'm hearing you
Okay,
right here.
um, this is a throwback to the old 60s Hammer horror.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
so English, beautifully so. It's
Oh no.
so 60s. It's so, so it's not gonna have a lot of blood, right? It's not gonna have that,
Right.
right?
Which
Um,
I actually think most of the time that's better, but go on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But this movie is straight up, in my opinion, the best horror movie of the year, without question. And it's better than most of the other crap out there anyway. I mean, that's not my hard to say. But they set up every single solitary thing is set up beforehand as it should be. Every scare is earned. They don't throw cats coming out of closets, right?
Excellent.
There are jump
Yeah.
scares, but they're earned jump scares, right?
Yeah.
This is how you do that, right? And it's got that great nostalgic 60s feel. It's just this is wonderful. It's more of a murder mystery, ghost mystery type of thing than it is some straight up horror. But because they know how to set the suspense and the tone, it has the actual feeling of horror, as a horror movie should.
As they do. Yeah.
This is, I'm sure they spent hardly any money on this, although it looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. The only person in there I recognized at all was Jonathan French, and he's not even a main character. Everyone else I've never heard of before. If you're English, maybe they're TV people or something like that. But yeah, dude, watch this movie.
Oddity, huh?
Yeah.
That's a good name. It's a good name for a horror movie.
Well,
Uh,
it sets up that gothic horror imagery of the old, Ripley's Believe It or Not, or things like that, right?
mhm, mhm.
Because it is a gothic horror, just so you know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I would love. I think we're all the way back when we start to see. We've already started to see it, but we start to see actually epic, truly great westerns being made again,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
we get back to the real meat and potatoes of horror. Uh, like for instance, you're talking about classic '60s style horror, like your Hitchcock or your whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I want some of that. I want the
Hmm.
stuff that they
Hmm.
don't have to show you all the time. They'll show you sometimes. But they don't always have to show you the violence. They just have to heavily imply it and let your mind fill it out. One of the things that makes horror, to me anyway, work is when it lets me imagine what just happened.
Yeah.
It doesn't show
Now
me
this
it
movie does that.
because
Yeah.
my brain, I guarantee you, is far more brutal than what they're probably, besides some films, going to show me, right? So I can fill in, make it much darker than it probably, they could probably get away with. Is my point. And
Right.
that's how you get into their mind. One of the things you should want to do as a filmmaker, it doesn't matter what you're making, but especially horror, is you have to get them to think about things that frighten them.
Right.
And if you can do that, most people, and by the way, this is the same for most people because most people share the same fears. That's why Hitchcock was so effective. If you can do that, you've won. You've got it. A great example is the Shining movie. Those two little girls at the end of that damn hallway is so damn creepy. I literally, every time I'm in a long hallway like that, I think about it. It's
Yeah.
still in my
No,
brain.
it does stick with you, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
twins, the twin girls. Yeah, Booster, Barbarian's not a a pretty solid movie. I liked it. I think it's got a little bit too much of the modern in it, but yeah, I
Mhm.
like Barbarian. It was good. Have you seen that one?
I have not. Is that a horror movie?
That's a sad. I wouldn't call it a horror movie. A psychological thriller.
Also, like Hitchcock, really. Most of his stuff was psychological thrillers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, I'll check it out. I'll probably check this out too.
No, this you
The
should
other
watch
thing,
this. This is great. Yeah.
one of the things I've so Booster turned me on to that show From. I don't know if I told you about it,
I
but it's on.
tried. I went through season 1 and I was like, "Eh."
Well, the reason why I like it is, and it is kind of starting to drag a little bit because they're not answering questions, and you got to start answering some of these questions you're asking. That's just basic storytelling. If you ask a question, you answer that question. But the reason I do like it is because a lot of it is very heavily implied. They don't usually show you too much of the brutality. Occasionally they will, but usually it's just you see the aftermath.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
And the
the
special
type of
effects are
horror I
great,
like.
actually. The special
Yep.
effects are great.
Yep.
And
That's
it's
the type of
also
horror I like personally, is where I get to I don't have to be I don't mind slasher or gore if, when the mood strikes, but if I'm looking for something to actually give me that feeling, it's got to be something I don't actually see it. I just know it happened, right? The
right, right, right.
psychological effect.
Well, I think I know what's going on in that story anyway. But of course, they're also putting a lot of the conservative versus liberal type of thinking in that, which is fine.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just after season 1, I was thinking, all right, well, let's start season 2, and then I said, nah, let's not. So but
Well, I've been binging it, and then I got caught up, and me and the wife and I've been watching it. But I think because they're supposedly only supposed to do 5 seasons, that's the plan anyway. If they get to all 5 seasons, it would probably be a better watch if you just binge the whole series because it's just it's one of those types of shows where they beg a lot of questions, right? And since they
they
don't answer
do.
them right
Well,
away, it gets frustrating to watch it weekly and
it
be like, ah,
does. It
still no
does because you're
answers.
not going to know nothing. But
Right.
and of course, I don't know that's the situation with From, but Lost is a good example with the old
Yeah.
Jar Jar Abrams there.
Good old
Uh,
Jar Jar.
yeah, because the thing with Lost, and I kind of got that feeling with From as well. The
Hmm.
idea is cool, but
Yes.
there's no story to tell. So all they
I
do is
that
just season after season banging on the idea.
could be. I hope not. That's one of the things Booster and I both agree we hope isn't the case. That they do know where they're going. They already know what the ending is, and it makes sense already, and they're just got to get there. I hope that's the truth, but we'll see. But yes, and I think that's the other thing that really drew me to it is the premise is phenomenal, and it could work anytime in any place throughout history. You could have this basically the same exact story at any time, and you could have it in ancient Rome, you could have it in the Middle Ages, you could have it in the Renaissance, you could have it in Victorian England, you could have it wherever, right? And that's what I like about it. The basic premise of it is really cool. It's a solid premise.
Yeah, you're
So
in some nether
we'll see.
realm of some kind, and people are sucked
Yep.
in. It doesn't matter the period or place, but that's fine. Booster does continue and said that he said that Barbarian was decent, has a bunch of on the nose messaging, but I liked it. Yeah, it's the same thing I said. Ellen says Barbarian is the best Goosebumps episode. It would make a great Goosebumps episode. No, he's right.
Bro,
Um,
I'll tell you right now, Goosebumps, that show back in the day, woof, when I was a little kid when it was on, of course, but woof, terrified me.
As
It
a
did its
kid,
job. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I just like I just like the From's vibe. It's my comfort show for some reason. From's vibe. It's just of some reason. No, no, no. I'm not saying it is very much like Lost. I'm not saying it's bad. I just wasn't interested in putting the time in, to be honest with you. Because
I really like, the main character too, Boyd. I think he's a good character.
but every week he's good in everything we see him in, dude. That guy's a good
Yes.
actor.
Well,
Um,
the reason why I think he's such a good character is because he's, a black guy and he's not Mr. Perfect, and I appreciate that. He's still a good guy, but he
yeah,
has
but
serious personality flaws.
and unless things change
And it
and
gets worse as it goes on.
oh,
So in
I
season
see.
2 and season 3, his personality flaws come out more and more.
Right. Well, I mean, like, unless it changes, though, there was nowhere in there that him being black came up at all.
Correct.
He's just
Didn't
a
really matter at
guy.
all.
He's just a
Yep.
guy who had military experience, and he's the
Well,
one
my
who could
point is
take lead.
with that comment is the people making it though have that in their mind
Of
because,
course, of
they're
course. Of course, he
Hollow-weirders.
had to have a white wife. Of course, there's
Yes.
a lot more lesbians in that little teeny pandemonium
Yes.
limbo place than there is any city on earth. Of
Uh,
course, but
yeah,
that's just the modern Hollywood thing. Everything's a lesbian, right?
that's right.
Or gay, of course. They literally have a house of liberals, and all they do is get drunk and fuck each
Yeah,
other, right?
hippies.
Right, hippies. He's my, what, I saw you kiss a girl because I want to kiss a girl because I'm the protagonist and I need to be a lesbian. And I saw you kissing a girl
Ah,
and it's like, oh, well, yeah, but I love this guy. He's my true love. That's just for fun. So you're in a heterosexual relationship and that's your true love, but yet you're also a homosexual. How does that work?
correct.
How does
Women,
that work exactly?
women.
Okay,
That's the answer.
dokie. Okay.
Women.
Mhm.
No, yeah, no, there is a lot of that.
There's a
But
lot,
in
a
but
lot.
in fairness to it, they do offer both perspectives, and I
Sure,
appreciate
they
that
have the
because they don't
conservative
just
side in town, and they
yeah,
have the liberal fuckhouse. Yes, they do.
yes, the liberal fuckhouse. Uh, no, I think it's like my point being the reason why I brought it up is because that's what I'm looking for when I think of like horror, where it makes me leery of certain things, right? The one of the things that they do very well is they establish the rules, and so far they've never broken them that I've seen.
Mhm.
Now they may have expanded them here or there, but they haven't broken, which is a big deal. One of the things a lot of shows like that often do, they'll set up this universe, set up this world, they'll give you the rules, and then all of a sudden things just don't follow them, and you're like, well, what? What was the point of this then?
Yeah.
I'm confused. Why are we doing
Well,
this?
you
But
know,
it hasn't done that.
we're still talking about From, by the way.
Yeah,
But the only reason I watched as long as I did was because that actor playing Boyd, because
he's
he's a
great.
really solid actor and I like him. That's it. That's the only
He's
reason.
really good.
And you also keep in mind a lot of the little clues and hints and stuff they give. I read those languages. You see, the problem is you have these clever people. It's like I'm gonna put ancient Scandinavian runic language in, and no one's gonna get.
But you know what they're saying.
I know
You're like, oh
exactly what
well,
they say. All those little stones
spoilers.
that protect those spoilers, all those little stones that they use and protect their homes that Boyd found by accident, right?
Yep.
You know what those symbols on them are? You know what they are?
I'd imagine
It's
they're
gonna piss
runes.
you off.
All right, Booster, don't listen. What is it?
They are literally the Scandinavian calendar of holidays.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
interesting.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Meaning it's not meant to be a protective symbol at all. What it is more of a social symbol, culturally.
Well, maybe that's commentary, Chester. Maybe they're being clever.
I don't that's not true. Someone went and typed in Nordic rune and they said, "Oh, that's
Nordic
cool."
runes. I like that one.
Dude, most of their focus was on how many gay people can we put in here?
There
That's what
wasn't
their
that
whole
many.
focus was, and the only reason it's cool is because some of the actors are really good, particularly the dude playing Boyd, which I wish I knew his
Yep.
name, but he is really I like
He's
him.
got a weird name. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, he's solid though. He's a good actor.
I like
Um,
him, and I like the lady who plays Donna, the liberal, the leader of the liberals.
yeah, no, she's solid too.
She's
There's
good.
actually quite a bit of
Yep.
solid acting. Unfortunately,
Yep.
their main protagonist is real shit, but she's a kid, so I guess that's to be forgiven. The old creepy guy that's been there forever since he was a little kid, he's pretty solid. There's quite a bit of solid acting. The acting's not bad
I
at all.
actually think because I've watched more of it than you have. The one who's going to end up the quote hero is the Asian deputy.
Oh
I'm
no,
not going
that's
to
obvious,
spoil
dude.
why.
That's
Yeah,
obvious.
yeah,
That's
he's the one who's
obvious.
going to be the hero of this story.
Obvious. Yeah.
Because it, let's just say it just keeps getting worse for my boy.
Yeah, but
It
to be
keeps getting worse.
they could Glen him though.
They
But
could. That's
they
what
could.
killed The Walking Dead is
It's
they
what killed The
which
Walking Dead. They
the
Glenned
comic
him.
did it too, but the way they did it in the comic didn't kill the comic because it was different. It had a different feel to it. When they did it in the show, they did it in the most cruel, like
Mean spirited. Yeah.
retarded way to do it with the stupid cliffhanger and like it was just dumb. I couldn't. I lost interest after that. I
Yeah.
tried to watch the next season. I just couldn't get into it.
Because you never know with a series or even a movie, but you never know, particularly with a series, what character the audience is going to glom onto. You
Yeah,
can't. It's hard to guess. You could try to produce it, and often the harder you try, the least they like that character.
Yes.
And in The Walking Dead, Glenn was not supposed to be the guy everyone loved. He was just a
Right.
side character, but he
Stephen
became
Yoon is
he
lovable.
he is lovable, and Glenn was everyone loved Glenn, and they should
Yep.
have took a note. They should
Yep.
have paid attention to what the audience was saying and doing, and moved with it. And I'm not saying
Well,
you don't
especially
kill him, but
considering they did anyway. They changed so much
they did.
from the comic book in the later seasons. So what are we doing here? What's the argument?
Yeah,
Ah, silliness. But
yeah,
anyway, Oddity. Apparently Chester says go watch it
yeah,
if you like scary things. You like to be frightened.
yeah. This has got a every. This is how you do it. It's
Yep.
how you do it.
Yep.
This is
I
classic
Chester,
gothic
I
horror.
would encourage you to try season 2 of From because it gets
Uh,
real good by the end of season
uh,
2.
I only have so much lesbian tolerance, dude.
Well, it does get more lesbian, that's true, but it does get really good by the end of season 2.
Yeah, and then of course you're talking about the Asian deputy, which sad we don't even
Yeah.
know his name, but the Asian deputy guy. Of course,
Mhm.
he is what's the word there? He's in love with and oh damn it, my brain. Um, anyway, he's in love with a lesbian girl, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to get with her.
I'm not gonna spoil it, Chester. I'm not spoiling nothing. I'm just saying, if I know storytelling like I do, if anybody in that town's gonna end up the hero of this story, it's him.
Yeah, but he's not going to
Boyd
get
will
the
be the
girl though. He's not going to get the
Boyd will
girl.
get the noble sacrifice probably, and he'll be the hero of the story.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yep.
Because for me, I like the character, and for them, it's like he's an Asian man. We don't need no white man. That's what they're thinking. What they're not realizing is that we don't really give a shit. We just want good characters. Boyd, yeah, he's a
Yep.
black guy. Who cares? The kid playing the cop, the deputy, he's an Asian kid. Who cares? It doesn't actually mean anything, right?
Right.
But the one of the problems with that show is they are very focused on identity politics, particularly lesbian stuff. And I have a feeling the showrunner is a lesbian.
I think it's a dude who used to work on Lost, actually. Some
Yeah,
guy.
once again, male feminist, lesbians. Okay, but it's annoying as shit. It takes so much away from what you're doing, and like I said, the only thing that kept me with it is that actor that plays Boyd. He's
Yep.
good, man. He's a good actor, dude. But anyway,
Yep.
let's go to what we're here to really talk about.
Here it is. Booster, get out of here. We're gonna spoil it.
We are.
Spoilers ahead. If you have not seen it, do not want to be spoiled on the Penguin. This is your time. This is your chance. This is your moment. Get out of here, because we're gonna be talking about this season finale. Hope maybe series finale. I don't know
Well,
of this little show here, which I have said publicly and I stand by it is the best television series I've ever watched, ever. And I've watched basically all of them.
yeah. No, it's
This is
solid.
phenomenal.
It is really good. I really enjoyed it. The first few seasons of Game of Thrones was also really good. It got bad after
Hmm.
that though. But yeah, the Penguin is great. I have um certain things I wish they had done differently, but I can't knock anything about it though. However, I want to start at the end, not the beginning, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
Do you think we'll
That's
ever
too bad
see
it's
any
at the end.
more from the Penguin?
Well, he's definitely going to be in the movies. As far
Yeah,
as
but I
like his
mean,
own show,
yeah, because
it'll really depend what happens in the movies.
well, if they go into the movie
Hmm.
and because we still don't know who's the bad guy, do we?
No, the main villain of the new movie, we do not. I don't
Hmm.
believe we know yet because I don't even think the script was done until very recently.
There
They
was
just
a
started shooting or whatever.
right. There was a lot of rumor about being Clayface, but kind of the original Master of Disguise Clayface, right?
Right.
Not the actual supernatural one. And I hope it is true because here's the thing: if they go into the second movie and Batman faces off against Penguin and defeats Penguin, I'm going to be pissed
Yeah. No, we don't need that. He needs to be the big bad of this movie series. Period.
for a while.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He's so good, and they've established him as being so capable, so dangerous. Uh, that last shot that I've been talking about, where she says, "Nothing can stop you now." or no, what nothing's in your way now. Nothing can get in your way now. And they pull out and they just do the bat signal in the sky. That is perfect storytelling. Perfect. You don't do it better than that.
Yeah, it was good.
Uh, it was so good. I literally almost jumped out of my chair. I was so because I knew it was coming. Right, it was obvious what was about to happen, but then it happened, and I felt so good
Hmm.
because one of the things that we've said about Reeve in his in company apparently, because he didn't actually make this show, he just kind of oversaw it,
Yeah.
is that he gets Batman on a level that none of these other directors have ever gotten what the character represents, what the character is. They may have gotten the aesthetics right, or they may have gotten certain aspects of it right, or maybe they got Bruce right, or maybe they got Batman right, but they didn't get Bruce right. I think that Reeves, for Batman himself, understands him on a way that no one else has been who's made a movie understands why Batman is 100 years old. Why has Batman been around where all these others have been discarded or whatever?
Right.
Uh, why don't we still have Shadow, but we have Batman, right? It's because he became so much more than just the detective vigilante. He became so much more. He literally the moment where Penguin's dancing in the penthouse with his girl who's dressed like his mom and he's calling her mom. It's real weird. It's hard to explain. Um, and she says that line, "There's nothing in your way now," or something to that effect. And they pull out from the penthouse window, and above him in the back in the night sky, the bat signal turns on.
Yeah.
That is what Batman is. He is the last hope for this city because everything that got thrown at Oz throughout this series, everything from officials to gangsters to everything in between, he overcame it in the end. He wins. Spoilers: Penguin wins in the end. I don't think anybody thought otherwise was going to happen. Uh, he beats them all. He
I'll be
gets them
back in a
all,
minute.
takes them all down, ends up the king of the Gotham underworld and directly connected to the corrupt politicians in Gotham in a way that no one else is. None of the underworld people are. He's basically an ally to one of the councilmen. It sounds like he's going to go on this PR campaign of a fake redemption where he starts talking basically starts squealing to the public and helps the police and the city council and the what have yous create a task force or whatever to crack down on corruption. He's going to kind of be the one who flipped on him is what it sounds like. Which of course is just going to be a ruse so he can keep doing what he's doing while they mop up his enemies. Uh, they establish that Penguin is incredibly cunning. They do this right out of the gate. They also establish that he has an unbelievable dark side and an unbelievable temper. And in these last two episodes of this show, oh my God, do they establish how dark and depraved Oswald Cobb, they don't call him Cobblepot for some reason, Oswald Cobb is. The Penguin is. There is, because one of the things we were worried about, Chester and I both, is that they were going to lean into him maybe being more of a, not an anti-hero, but an anti-villain. Whereas, he's not the bad guy, he's just one bad guy. No, no. By the end of this show, they establish succinctly and without question he's the bad guy. He's the villain. He's the devil in this story. And I love that. I love that they had the balls to do it. They took the most popular character that DC has running right now on the screen, big screen or otherwise, and they were like, no, he's the bad guy. We're not going to alter it just because people like him, and people do. I love Colin Farrell as the Penguin. It's phenomenal. By the end of this, there's no doubt who the villain of at least this story, the Penguin Show, is. It's him. He might be the quote unquote protagonist insofar as that it's from his perspective most of it, but at the end of the day, he is not the hero of this story. He is a monster, a true monster. And Colin warned the audience. They said, all right, you guys like him now. By the end of this, you're going to hate him. And I don't know if I hate him, but I am looking forward to Batman and him meeting up finally again. I am looking forward to him getting what's coming to him. Let's put it that way. Uh, and hopefully, like Chester said, it's not right away. They don't jump the gun. They let it simmer. They let it boil. They maybe even have him do some more depraved shit. Uh, and get us to the point where eventually, Batman has to basically, put him down one way or the other. Uh, it's so good. If you haven't watched this show, I mean this with all sincerity. Do yourself a favor and watch it. It is so you don't even have to have necessarily seen the movie. They give you a nice enough summary to see what's going on with Penguin and what happened in the movie. I'd recommend watching the movie because it's phenomenal, but also he's phenomenal in it as the Penguin, and it gives you a nice juxtaposition of where he starts to where he ends up, especially at the end. Um, the way they describe his character, what his character's motivation is, what he claims to want, the way that they refuse to allow him to face reality. He's so caught up in his own lies, his own BS that he to him it's real. That's reality. Uh, he's craven and he's dangerous and he's incredibly smart and he outsmarts everybody by the end basically. And they literally the point of the reason why I say that season finale is easily the best I've ever seen. The only thing that I've ever seen that rivals it is Star Trek: The Next Generation series finale. Um, is because I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe that all good things, and I can't remember what the name of that finale episode was. Big Little Things, I think, is what it was called. I genuinely believe these two are very close, if not equal, in quality as far as ending a story. And by the end of this story, it's so good. It's he's just we one of the things that we were talking about earlier. We were talking about Jester likes From, but he kind of gave up on it. That's fine. I like From a lot. Booster likes From a lot. But one of the problems that we're all worried about is they're gonna beg questions and then they're not gonna answer them. And that's a very big no-no in storytelling. You don't ask a question and then not answer it. One of the things this show does very, very, very well is if it asks you a question, it answers it. And it answers it sometimes spectacularly. Um, and I appreciate that. They tie up their loose ends very, very succinctly, very, very quickly. There is one that they didn't, but I don't think it's an intentional loose end. I think it's just a contrivance of the filmmaking. But I'll leave it at that. But it's not really a plot situation. It's more of a situation. Uh, there is a character in this show that we've talked about. His name is Victor. Victor is at first begrudgingly Penguin's number two, his go-to guy, his henchman, if you will, his buddy. He does all these jobs for him. Yeah, does anything he needs. Drives. Eventually starts killing people. By the end, Victor goes from a bumbling idiot, basically working on the street trying to steal parts off of his car, to a gangster, stone cold gangster out here killing people. Victor's a really great character. He's a very endearing young man. He's got nobody else. His whole family, from what I gathered, is dead. Um, and he kind of takes him under his wing, and he kind of becomes like his little brother, or maybe even like a son to him. And there is a scene after all this, after everything. Victor was with him when he found out his mom was going to be a vegetable. Penguin, by the way. Victor was with him when he's been with him through thick and thin. He's seen every up and down that he's gone on in this journey in these last few months. And at the end, they're sitting on a bench overlooking the river. And Victor and him are having a
Spoilers.
oh my gosh, you scared the crap out of me. Victor and him are having a conversation, and they're talking about how much they like each other and this and that and how they did it. They've won, blah 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 blah. They're going to the top, and Victor makes a mistake, and that mistake is that he calls Oswald, Mr. Cobb, the Penguin, his family. And Oz just realized something while he was in the hospital. He realized something this whole time while he was dealing with Sophia. Family is a weakness he cannot afford. So he puts him in a headlock and strangles him to death. And it's not like, oh, they zoom out and you just kind of figure out what he did. No, no. They stay there until he's dead. They
Yeah.
make you watch the Penguin strangle the the character that you're supposed to love, and I think pretty much everybody did.
Well,
They make you watch it happen.
I would call it the Von Erich throat pinch. But
Yes,
yes.
they make you watch him choke him to death, literally to death, while he's begging for his life and begging for the only person he thought was his friend to stop.
Well, because he
And
loved
Penguin
him.
doesn't stop. Yes.
Yeah.
and he refuses to stop. Penguin refuses to stop because he realizes that he does care about Vic, and he realizes that that's going to be a weakness he can't afford. He
Well,
literally says it. It's a
well,
family's a weakness I can't afford.
right. Well, I mean, the very first scene of the series, he ends up killing Sophia's brother because he laughed at him, and the first thing he
Yep.
says is "fuck." Last thing he says is
Yes.
"fuck."
Yep.
Yeah.
And he chokes Vic to death, literally to death, takes his wallet, takes his money, and then throws his ID in the river, uh, making it basically look like it was just a robbery or something. Uh, Completely callous about it too. At no point does he even seem remotely remorseful. Like I was saying while you were gone, Chester, by the end of this, they went from him being an almost an anti-hero to an anti-villain to just the villain. And they
Yeah.
established that he's the bad guy.
As
Penguin's
they
the
should
bad
be.
guy.
He is the bad guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he is the
Yes.
bad guy.
And it was so good. It's
And
so
and
good.
and
The fact that we get nothing of Batman except the bat signal. He's not even mentioned except for at the very beginning. We get nothing of him except the bat signal was actually perfect because Batman in this world, he even says it at the end of the movie, he has to become more than just about vengeance. He has to become a symbol of hope effectively. And that's what they gave us, right?
mhm.
Oz is one. He's taken out everybody. He's going all the way to the top. He's going to be rubbing elbows with political people and the people who run the city and all this. He's won in every sense of
You
the
know,
word.
they
Taken
didn't
out all his enemies. So good.
when he went into the penthouse place that his mother had dreamed about,
Yep.
and he's got the penguin suit on, right? Which looked
Yep.
great, by the way. They didn't have
It
the balls to put the top hat on though. They just had him carry it. You know, you copped out. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
But I'm sure he was saying many things.
Just
I probably agree with 99% of it.
it's so good.
It's really good. Um, the only thing I wish they had done different. I'm not going to say I didn't like it because it's so well done. It's kind of hard to complain about it.
Hmm.
The one thing I wish they had done differently is dirtied up Sophia some because
Yeah.
they basically made her a victim. She's a victim of these all these horrible men. Her whole life she's been victimized by these men. Oh, poor Sophia. And yeah, whatever. But if they had made that twist that I had mentioned before, where it turns out that she's just actually insane because she kind of is, and
Hmm.
he was actually driving her around when she was actually doing the hangman murders, and in the end, the person who put her in jail wasn't her father; it was her brother. That would have gave us a great Sophia going forward. As it is,
Yeah.
she's just a little victim, and of course her cousin is somehow Selena Kyle. I really don't
No,
know
it's not
how.
even her cousin. It's her sister. If you remember in the movie, she's Falcone, his daughter, his illegitimate daughter.
Yeah,
Selena
that's
Kyle
fair.
is.
That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
from another mother,
From
but
some whore, basically.
or a sister.
um.
Yeah, sister. That's right, sister.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's true. But it's like, okay, fine.
So we're gonna get more Sophia, which is good because I think she's great.
Yeah,
We're gonna get more Penguin, obviously, but I agree with you. He doesn't need to be taken out in this next movie. If you're gonna only do three, then it needs to be at the end of the third one. Uh, if he gets taken out at all, uh, because they just did such a great job of just making him every time they did it to you too. Every time they give you that glimmer of hope that maybe he's not completely irredeemable. Nah, he's a completely irredeemable bastard.
yeah. Well,
There's
come
no
on.
goodness in him at all.
You knew right well from day one Vic was not going to survive.
Oh, I did. I even said it. There's no shot. I didn't think they was going to be quite so graphic, which I loved. I was so happy. I was
Oh, I
literally
was very
telling
happy with
Booster, I was
it.
like, Booster, I'm not going to spoil it, but that ending, I can't believe they were brave enough to do that. I can't believe they were brave enough to hold that shot and
Yeah,
make
they
you
did.
watch him kill Vic. Make you
They
watch it.
did.
Make you feel
Um,
it. Oh, it
and
was so good.
It was, and the thing is, with me, I'm rarely surprised, right? And
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a downer. I can't enjoy it the same way that others might, but it is what it is. But my wife is not that way. And I never give her hints. I let her just hang and dangle. And it's almost more fun watching her watch something than me watching it myself.
Right.
because she was really into Penguin. She would ask, "You got
Mhm.
Penguin yet? You got Penguin?" Right? She really was into it,
She
you
was
know?
me. That was
Yeah,
me. I
she
was
was
over here just
having a great
waiting,
time.
refreshing,
Um,
refreshing.
and of course, I knew Vic was dead. I knew that
Yeah,
was going to happen anyway. And of course, I saw that coming at that particular moment. I knew, okay, here it is. But she wasn't aware of it. She had no
right.
clue Vic was going to die, and that was traumatic for her.
Yeah.
But it was
It's
great
supposed
because
to
it
be.
it impacted
It's
her
supposed
so
to be.
beautifully. But yeah, it's fantastic. We need more of it. To I don't care what they
Yes,
do with the Batman movies. He is a survivor, and he should survive it all.
I agree.
And if
I even think you could get away with Batman taking him down in the next movie as long as he survives it. Uh, and he has a way of some way of coming back and getting back at Batman. But I would rather they didn't do that. I'd rather keep building him, keep giving him terrible shit to do, basically. Keep building him. And then eventually they can have that face off.
Yeah, and that's probably a good point, Alan. Alan says Batman uses Penguin as an unwilling informant a lot. With his
Yep.
popularity, I bet he'll be around for a while. I would, if you have any brains in your head, if you can lock
Yes.
Colin Farrell down, because yeah, he really, really killed that. Now, where do you go from there? Because that little tight 8 episode really gave you the origin of Penguin really well, right?
Yep.
So where do we go from here? It's not as easy a do as you might think it
Well,
is.
remember what his dream is. It's to be loved, right? To be beloved.
Yeah,
Uh, maybe that's the next arc. Is he now that he's gotten rid of all the people in his way, right? There's nothing in his way, as she said. Um, that he can focus on that, right? One of the things that Vic says is, the reason why these people are loyal to you is because you've helped them. You got power back on in this part of town. You got people jobs. You're doing this and this and this. You're doing good things out here. And I wouldn't mind seeing, because he's going to be rubbing elbows with the elite, right? That's what they obviously established. Um, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Let's see the other side of it, right? Because his goal is to be beloved, so beloved that they throw a parade for him, basically, right? That's what he said. Uh, I wouldn't mind seeing him try to chase that goal, and because of who he is, he'll never get it, right? Because he's just such a monster. But because every time he got close to success up until the very end in the show, he would either fuck it up or something that he did previously would cause it to get fucked up, because he's a monster. He does monstrous things,
yeah,
and that comes back to bite him. So I would love for them to play with that, to expand on it. Let's see him try to become that hero, that people's hero, right? And then obviously it all fall apart around him because he is who he is. I think you could do that. It really just depends on how deep into I mean, Batman's got an insane lore, right?
it
Insane.
does.
I, I
It
s-
does.
I said this the other day. There's debate on who has the best rogues gallery. It's Batman. It's over. That debate's done. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
It's the
Batman's
best.
is good. I would say Spider-Man's is second.
The problem Spider-Man has is you couldn't do this with some of Spider-Man's villains. I don't think some of them you could, but a lot of them there's just no way.
Well,
We've had multiple times where somebody took just one of the villains from Batman and turned it into something phenomenal. The first Joker. We're not going to talk about the second Joker movie. That was Revenge. The first Joker movie is great, especially his interpretation of it. Now they did a very similar thing with the Penguin in a longer form, and it's just phenomenal. And they
yeah,
also have done various iterations of the Joker in general, and he's just great in the movies. There's only been a couple times where that's not the case, but most of the time it's either really, really, really good or just really good, right? Like, so I think the debate needs to just be until they can prove they can do this with one of Spider-Man's rogues. Because I don't count Venom because they turned him into an anti. He's not Venom anymore.
no,
Like he's
he's
just
not
not.
Venom at all. Yeah. No,
Um,
no, I agree. Batman has the best rose gallery.
yeah,
Although Doc Ock, we saw that was done really well by that
yeah,
guy. Raul Julia, is that his name?
something like that.
Something like that. He killed it. He knocked that out of the park. I could see a full run on Doc Ock. I could easily see that. But no, I think Batman stuff leans it more. But then again, you got to keep in mind DC has always been more adult oriented than Marvel, right?
Mhm,
And it's
mhm.
because DC is coming out from a company that's been around long before the code came out, right?
Right,
And Marvel was created in response to the code,
right.
right? So they are very different. Excuse me, DC has always had a more edgy type of adult take. The
Mhm.
only odd thing is their naming convention kind of sucks,
Yeah.
whereas Marvel has a much better naming convention. If you
I
took,
would say Batman's a lot of Batmans are okay though. Like I like the name Clayface. I think that's good. I like the Penguin. That's fine.
yeah,
Especially what he is. Um,
Calendar Man,
but yeah. I was getting there, but then you run into things like Calendar Man, and you're like, what are we doing? What do we do? Or
yeah,
what's the holiday guy? There's a one called Holiday something. That guy too. Yeah, no, we don't. Get out of here.
there's a lot of
Um,
really weird shit.
yeah.
But whatever, it's always had that more adult leaning in its feel, right? More
Mhm. The
visceral. It's more
tone.
visceral, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, this if you haven't watched this yet, I don't know why. Go watch it.
Go do it.
You'll enjoy
Go
it.
do it. Yep.
Just
Binge it
even
all.
honestly,
Just
you
do it.
can take DC and Batman out of this completely. It's just a crime drama.
It's phenomenal crime drama, yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that you have the Batman sauce on top of it makes it even better. Because like I said, that last shot, man, that's what I mean, okay, so I pointed this out too in a different to somebody else. Remember the song for the Batman movie was Nirvana's Something in the Way? And everybody, a lot of people didn't like that because it was like real low and melodic, and it's just like, like it's kind of downbeat. Um, the last line of this show ties right into the title of that song. They're telling you what Batman is in this version of Gotham. He's in the way. All this corruption's everywhere. It's a problem. Even the first movie is actually really about the corruption of the city. The Riddler is just a response to it. Uh, Batman is the one who has to get in the way. And I loved it. I loved everything about it because one of the things that they do a lot in these movies is we've said it before. Batman becomes one aspect of his character, and that's it. Right? Whether it's the '90s version of Batman where he's just the superhero over the top gadgets, it's a little bit campy, a little bit corny, which is fine. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is what it is. Or you have the Nolan version where he's just a vigilante who beats people up and then he pays for gadgets. Basically, he's not really a detective. Uh, Two aspects of his character that are they just kind of strip away and focus on more so than anything else. This version, yes, he's a detective, but he's also learning that he has to be more than vengeance, as he calls himself at the beginning. He has to be more than just the guy who can figure things out that the other people can't. He has to be more, and he literally says this. He has to be more. So the fact that they're slowly building to that, I do think that the second movie is going to be even more so. We're going to get to see him
It has
mature
to
as
be.
Batman.
It has
Yeah.
to be.
Well, they set it up. They set it up again. At the end of this, they set it up again.
They
That
did.
last line being literally the answer or whatever the question of the title to the theme song to the first movie is not an accident. They
No, of
didn't
course
just
it's not.
oops a
Yeah.
daisy that. It's intentional.
Right. Yeah.
Batman is in the way. That's who he is. He's the only thing standing between this city and madness. And that's who Batman is. Yes.
Right.
If you distill it down completely, that's what he is. He's the only one. They call him the Caped Crusader, the Dark Knight. These names aren't just they don't just sound cool. That's who he is.
Yeah.
That is what he must be.
Thank you, Alan. Alfred Molina. That's the guy who played Doc Ock. He did a great job.
Yep.
But yeah, no. One thing. I suppose they could get away with it, but
Prison names.
one thing I'd really like to see them do in the next movie is bring it down to something simpler. The
Good.
Riddler affected the whole city, and it worked. It worked. But I don't need, end of the world, storyline again. I
No.
don't.
No.
And that's what the problem with Hollywood is. They always get stuck in the end of the world storylines. I would
Right.
really, you gave us a good one. It was a nice taste. Bring it down. They were mentioning Clayface, so maybe the next one is him just try, a more street level. Him just doing his job, trying to get rid of this Clayface guy. I really hope that they don't take it to, oh my God, Gotham's all going to be blown up again. I really hope they don't do that.
Yeah, no, we don't need that. We could easily have um we've established Penguin as a problem. He's now the king of the underworld. There's no one in his way, and you can have this movie be Batman knows this, of course, because he's Batman, and he's trying to work on unraveling it. But while he's starting to do that, Clayface shows, or someone doesn't necessarily have to be Clayface, but one of his more murderous villains show up, and they're on a killing spree for
Zaz.
various reasons. Could be Zaz, it could be Croc, it could be a bunch of them, could be a few of them,
Yeah,
right?
they don't want
Obviously,
that. They're afraid
I
of
was gonna
going
say they're probably
supernatural,
not
dude.
gonna do Croc, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It could be someone like that. It could just be one of his more murderous villains who is, very just about just about the carnage a little bit. That he has to go deal with and handle and figure out what's going on with it. And then maybe you could even have it tie into the Penguin and his extracurricular activities in some way or another. Uh, One way you could do it is the Blish drug is what caused this person to become murderous. There you go. There's your tie-in
Oh
back to the
yeah,
Penguin.
easy.
There's just a lot of ways. There's a lot of room to grow with this, and I really, really agree with you. I think they bring it down, lower the stakes, let Batman get comfortable being, the Dark Knight, the Cape Crusader. It doesn't always have to be someone's gonna blow up the damn city. Uh, so bring like lower that temperature a little bit. You established a really, really, really good villain who you don't need there to be, you know, earth-shattering stakes for it to be fun to watch, as we just saw. Uh, and I think with Batman there, as he develops the character, as he grows into that legend, if you will. I think we could get something really, really cool. You could do
Yeah.
multiple if as long as it was the theme was the same. One of the reasons why the Spider-Man movie, the most recent one, works is yes, you have multiple villains, but they all want the same thing. And they're all working by the end, they're all working towards that same thing. Uh, that's fine then. When you introduce a bunch of villains who have different competing goals, the story gets muddied. It's very hard to tell that story in a few hours and make it, work. But when you have them where they're all on page, on mission, even if they're very different personalities, it can potentially work. So I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go. I know that the only reason the movie hasn't already been in production was the writer's strike. Apparently, Reeve and his people didn't get the script done in time before the strike happened. So that's what
That's
held it up.
fine. Penguin filled the
Um,
hole. Um,
yeah.
yeah. Now, Ellen, I think the No Man's Land storyline was absolutely killed by the Penguin series. I don't think that can happen. Just for
Mm,
those of you who don't know, No Man's Land, a big mega earthquake hits Gotham.
mhm,
And the U.S. government comes in to evacuate all the citizens out of New York, right?
mhm.
And of course, not everyone goes, and the people who remain, it gets real bad, ugly, right?
Right.
And of course, Batman is there to do the Batman stuff. They missed that opportunity. They could have used instead of an earthquake, it could have been the Riddler's attack. They
Mhm.
could have done something like that, but they've missed that window completely. The Penguin series, you can't do No Man's Land.
And the one great thing about the Penguin show is, we're hypersensitive to it because of who we are. I'm trying to think maybe I'm missing something, but I didn't see a bit of wokeness in this show. Nothing. What did what was it? Where was it? There was no gayness. I don't think there was a gay character. In fact, there was nothing. It just didn't happen. Didn't exist. Uh, and that's beautiful because that's a good sign for the movie. It's a very good sign for the next movie. Even though we know that Mr. Reeve is as Holly weird as it gets, he seems to keep it out of his stuff.
He does.
So
He does. I mean, you could in the movie you could point to his fact. Oh, we have a black mayor. Okay, fine. It's New York.
yeah,
Um,
Yep.
you have a black cat woman, and it's like, yeah, okay, but she's rocking, sexy as hell.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
And Batman banged her on the Batmobile. That's awesome.
he did. But I
That's
mean,
awesome. Mad respect.
it's it's not. I suppose with Sophia, that making her the victim instead of really roughing her up a little bit.
Mhm.
But I'm not. No, it's no, not really. Yeah,
No, not
no.
really. I think it's just it was just a character choice. I don't think it was necessarily a political commentary. Uh, and that's fine. Whatever. I actually agree with you. I think the twist could have been that she actually was the hangman
That would have been
and
awesome.
that her dad was protecting her, if anything. Uh, that would have been very interesting. Uh, but nah, I don't think they wanted to give Carmine anything good, right? They didn't want to give him because they kind of established in the movie that he's a real piece of shit. So I don't
He's
think they wanted
he's a
to
mob boss.
subvert that way, right? To subvert that way and be like, well, yeah, but he actually, he loved his daughter or something. Like it was to be an unnecessary subversion to do that. So uh, I think that's probably more what it was. Is that they only had 8 episodes, so they probably wanted to keep it kind of because it kind of ended up the way we all expected it to, right? There was very little. I actually thought Sophia might not make it, but she did, which I was happy about. Um, but other than that, the only surprising character that's still alive is his girlfriend, that she didn't die.
I'm surprised she
Uh,
didn't die. To be honest with
yeah, but I have a feeling she's going to be somehow related to Clayface because her last name is the same last name as Clayface, the original Clayface, which I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but she has the same last name as him. So that can't be a coincidence, especially since they've been talking about Clayface. Maybe there's got to be something there.
you. Mm.
Um, maybe she'll be Clayface. I don't know, but regardless, there was nothing. Like I said, we're both really hypersensitive to it. You could really stretch it and say, oh well, they focused on her too much or this. Okay, yeah, but that could have just been narrative decision. That could have been nothing to do with politics. Nothing. I mean, there's not a gay character. There's not some weird screed about oppression. It's just not there. It's just not there. And that's one of the reasons I think this show's so good. Is
Yeah,
they knew what they were
and
doing going in and they did it.
the screeds that we got were more classical liberal screeds.
Right,
Up,
right.
let's stand against the man.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Which, of course,
Yeah.
now the progressive Democrats have become the man.
Well, not
Um,
only that, Penguin didn't care about any of that shit. He
no,
cared
he
none of it.
didn't. He didn't. Victor did.
Yes.
Which is why he had to go.
Yeah,
But
he's in the way.
he's in the
He's something in the
way.
way. It's
He's
so
in the
good,
way.
dude.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm just checking to see if I missed anything. They're incredibly tight-lipped. We don't have any clue at all what the plot of the second movie is. Nothing.
Good. I don't want to
Nothing.
know. I want to sit down in that theater and be blown away, Matt. Do it again. I'm begging you.
Yeah.
I'm begging you, Mr. Reeve.
No, I mean,
And
I really enjoyed the movie too. I love the Penguin even more.
he's
Um,
so good.
it is, but we'll see. Fingers crossed they do something fun and it'll continue on. I kind of, yeah, I we'll see. Her brother being the hangman was my guess too. Yeah, no, they could have done something like that, but they didn't do anything. She's just a poor little victim oppressed by men her whole life. That's the
I
message
did
they were
like
pushing.
somebody pointed out that she was basically gaslit into becoming a crazy person. I kind of like that.
She was, that's once again the men did that to her, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
of course, then they tried to make her some kind of, S&M character as well, and that didn't sell at all.
But at the end of the day, the big bad white man still beat her.
He did,
The end of the day, the patriarchy wins, Chester. That's the moral of the story. That's what I'm going with. End of the day, the patriarchy wins.
yeah. At the end of the day,
How about his mom though? Holy crap, that actress! What
she
a
did a good job,
performance!
I
Oh my
and it's
gosh.
interesting too because they had the other actress playing her younger self,
Yep.
and they made a decision in the end. Instead of letting the younger actress do the flashback stuff, they had her do it,
Yes.
and that I think I know why they chose that.
Well, she's a much better actress.
Much better actress. Um, and of course, in the we know what's true, I guess, but in the end, you don't really know,
Right.
because I mean, it could have been his mother's delusion, but probably not. But you'll never know because spoilers.
He ain't
She's
talking,
done. Yeah, and of
and
course
he ain't talking.
and he ain't talking. And at the end of it, him saying, you finally got what you wanted, Ma, and then she's crying, and you have that because this is the thing that's killer about Colin Farrell. You see the look on his face, and he says, "Yeah, I know you got everything you wanted," but he knows that's not why she's crying. He did
Right.
that with just a look. Frickin' Farrell, dude, just
He's so good.
gnawing on the frickin' scenery, dude. Uh,
He's so good. He
he,
needs every role. Give him everything. Give him
yeah.
everything out there. It's
Yeah.
outrageous how
You
good he
you
is.
saw what I'm talking about, right? That
Oh, yeah.
look.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got it. I
so
got it
good,
immediately. He knew
dude.
what he was doing. He
So
knew what he was
good.
doing, and he was just tormenting her. Basically, welcome to hell. Um, I love that. I love the fact that, I love everything about that last, especially the last, I don't know, 20 minutes. It's just perfect. It's so well done. I like when Sophia shows up and she's all smug, and the only tell that she's been got is he smirks just slightly. He just has a little smirk on his face. Colin does, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And she knows right then it's over. Right? She's got something's up. He's got a plan. He's got an out. And yeah, his boy Victor just starts dropping bodies, and the other guy, the other little Asian guy, drops bodies, and that's it. He's won.
Yeah.
It's over. I
And
like
it's
the fact that the last time you really have a scene between them, it's a callback to him being her driver. He literally drives her to where he leaves her. Uh, it's just so good. It's storytelling like we haven't seen in so long
yeah, it
because they
is really
just
good.
know
Yeah.
what they're doing. They
Yeah,
just
and
know what they're doing.
of course it's also interesting to note that all the other mob bosses or organized crime bosses of Gotham were taken out by their lieutenants,
Yep,
and except for Penguin, who took out his lieutenant. So what you
correct.
have is Penguin is the only older, wiser one left, with a bunch of younger lieutenants who idolize him.
Yep,
Yeah,
he's
so
now their
it's
hero.
genius, genius, right?
It's so good.
Yeah,
It's so good. And now we have a young Batman, right? He's going to still be kind of young as Batman, who's going to have to handle this eventually. Eventually he's going to have because he's Batman. He's eventually going to have to win. So the question is, how do we get from there to there, and it still be just as awesome? I don't know. I genuinely don't. That's the best part. I have no idea where they're going because they've left it open enough. They closed all the threads they needed to close, and they left it open enough to make me excited about what's coming next. Genuinely, like, and you know what sucks? The movie isn't going to be out for 2 years. Like, we gotta wait 2 years. That
yeah,
sucks.
that's okay. Hey, we have Snow White to look forward to.
Oh God. Oh. Ugh. So she just decided to speed run, destroying her career before it even started, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and the simple fact of the matter is, she hasn't been in a movie that's made money yet.
No.
Which is something to say. But yeah, just another brat. And the thing is, if I'm not incorrect, a lot of these Western progressive women have been embracing the name brat. I think I've
Yes, they have.
noticed.
Yeah,
Um,
that didn't work out for him too well, did it?
yeah, and of course their delusion that they think they can get away with threatening people's lives as they're doing, and they're getting arrested, and they got to find out quick. I guess you're not allowed to do that, but
That's true.
nevertheless, um,
Penguin is phenomenal.
it
It's
is.
HBO at its best. By far the lady, but Chester, that's what's even crazier. This was a lady that ran this show. She did a phenomenal job. Down to the little things, the cinematography, the script consistency. Uh, I'm very keen on making sure one of the things that there is a job that they do where they make sure the shot is consistent. Meaning, as you change perspectives, there's not random changes in
Yeah,
in what's happening. Like their leg isn't up or their arm isn't up, or it's the same shot from different angles. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see a
No,
single
it
instance
was
where that wasn't the
beautifully shot. The
case.
cinematography is
Yeah.
amazing. And, just as I know it's going to come as a shock to you, but there are many women throughout the history of media that are good at their job.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know we're
Mhm.
told that's not true, but
Even Chester,
yeah,
even in comic books.
yeah,
What?
even
Wait a
in
minute.
novels.
I thought it was in fact, the most successful novelist of all time is a woman, and she doesn't like trans people very much. So,
Yeah, yeah.
there's that.
Um, yeah, no, it doesn't matter who the showrunner is. Are they good or bad? It's irrelevant. I don't care what color
Well,
they
my
are.
point is it's very, very relevant to them. And the fact that they had a female and they didn't hire somebody who was an activist, they just hired somebody who is, phenomenal at her job,
Mhm.
another good sign for the second movie. Another very, very good sign for the second movie.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to get switcherooed here like we did with the Joker. We don't need that. You've done such great work. You have Colin Farrell putting in generational performances as this character. Do not waste this.
I can't
Imagine
imagine that's going to happen under Matt. He's already shown his colors to us.
imagine if you will that we get to the second movie. Penguin's in it. He plays a much bigger role than it because in the first movie he doesn't really do much. Plays a much bigger role in this second movie. And in what's his name? Sparkle Boy. I can never Pattinson. He actually does evolve the character and become more like Batman. He does a good job because remember the first movie, one of the things we said of the main characters, he's the worst one. He's not bad, but comparatively,
He's not
right?
Batman yet. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not Batman yet. Imagine he still pulls it off, and because this son of a bitch just decided to eat the entire movie himself as one man wrecking crew, he's still secondary in his own movie.
That
It's
would
just
not be no, they need to up that, and I think we feel that that's their intention, and I
Mhm,
hope so that it is. But I mean, the one thing I do have to say, because a lot of people complain about the first movie, the fact, oh, they made Gordon black and the mayor's black
yep,
and the police chief, of course, Gordon black and a whole bunch of the black stuff, and it's like,
mhm.
well, I don't know, maybe Reeves was just going more realistic because Gotham is a shithole.
Would explain a lot, wouldn't it? Holy
Yeah,
shit.
am I allowed to say that?
Uh, no, this is the best representation on film that we've ever gotten of Gotham City, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it.
Even the show, I really love it in the movie, but the show really nails the underworld vibe. Um, the cinematography is great. The music is phenomenal. Like I was saying, the fact that the title of one of the main song that was in the trailer and everything of the first movie has become part of the plot is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, they're
Uh,
doing their
the,
job.
exactly. That's what I was getting to. These people know what they're doing, and I genuinely believe they know where they're going. Now, they might not know all the intricate details here or there, but they have a broad strokes idea of where they want
Mhm.
this to go, and that is something we have never had in a Batman series in movies anyway. Probably not television either, if we're being honest. Uh, and that is very, very refreshing. The fact that this iteration of the Penguin, it's very much like Ledger insofar as this is probably the
Yeah, but
iteration
more
that
of it.
people well, right, but this is probably the iteration that people are going to resonate with going
Yep.
forward.
Yep. No,
Uh,
100%. This is Penguin
yeah,
from now on.
yes,
Seeing people referencing and trying to give the noobs understanding what Penguin is in the comics, I already feel like, well, yeah, that's not the real Penguin anymore. I already feel
no,
that. All right, let me
yep,
ask a question here, and then we'll move on to some other stuff.
let's do it.
Here's the last
Gotham
question
votes
for
boo.
Penguin. Uh, what is the most important scene in the series as far as you're concerned?
Ooh, that's a tough one because there's a
Yeah,
lot of
I,
great scenes.
I haven't answered though.
For me,
Mm.
I'm going to actually say it's the very opening scene.
It was
In
great.
the
It was so good.
It's so good because you go from him as a scavenger, right? Which is basically how he ends up at the last end of the last movie. He's got very little left. He's a scavenger. Uh, he's rummaging around in his dead boss's stuff, trying to find anything he can use to up his ante, if you will. Two, he's caught doing this, of course. And he's talking to this guy, and they have
Instantly
a
saves it.
conversation
Instantly saves it.
instantly.
Yeah.
Yep, instantly saves it. Talking to this guy, bada 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 bada. We go on. We find out his character motivate. We do this all in 5-10 minutes. Find out his character motivation. Find out what makes him tick, and find out that he doesn't like to be mocked. And it's so much so that he doesn't like it to the point where he will become homicidally violent to people who he definitely shouldn't be homicidally violent to,
Hmm.
but he don't care.
Well,
And he
it's
shoots this
yeah,
man, kills him in cold blood, says fuck, but seems to be quite amused with himself for a minute there after he shoots him. He seems to quite enjoy it. Uh, all of that, all of that is a perfect encapsulation of what this character is about to
yeah,
do because he
yeah.
continuously has this exact same pattern
Well, it
play out
sets the
over and over
entire
and over
plot
again.
out, right? It
Yeah,
sets the
in
entire
10 minutes,
plot
right
out.
at the
Yeah.
start of the show.
Yeah. No, for episode one is the best episode without
It's
question.
phenomenal.
It is really
It's
good.
phenomenal.
However, my choice is different.
Mhm.
I think the most important scene in the movie is where he's in the bus and fighting Salvatore.
Mm,
Sal, Clancy
mhm.
Brown, our boy,
Our
right?
boy, the man.
He did a great job playing a juxtaposition to Carmine, a different type
Mhm.
of mafia boss, the more family-oriented one. But nevertheless, that scene I think is the most important scene because it shows you the true, actual insanity of Penguin, right?
Mm,
Because they're having a fight and Sal is getting the best of him,
mhm.
right? But then Sal has a heart attack and dies. And he's
Yes.
so beside himself with anger because he needed to defeat him himself. He
Right.
needed to be the one to defeat him, not a heart attack. And that whole scene of him yelling and screaming and no and getting angry and then the end just emptying a clip into an already dead man.
Mhm.
It really shows the psychosis of Penguin,
Yep.
because his desperate and the late that wonderful actress who played his mother played it out as she made a comment when in a past flashback. He's always been so needy.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And that's and I love that they established that he's just well, it could be untrue, I guess, but they put the question in your mind of when did he turn evil? Has he always been evil? Is he just a psychopath? Or did something happen
well,
at
it's his
some point?
mom's
Like,
opinion that he was just
yeah,
born
well, that's what
that
I'm
way.
saying. But they put that question in your mind now, like, oh, and once that happens, the idea, especially once he kills Vic, the idea that he's redeemable is gone. That's wiped away. He
Oh
killed his
yeah.
own brothers in cold blood, or at least it really, really looks like he did. Uh, that's it. And that was the final switch, I think, that was needed to turn him into a supervillain, quote unquote, that's gonna be at the level that Batman's got to deal with him.
Well, the
Uh,
the next time we see Penguin, we need even more ferocity.
yep.
Right? We need more. And once again, going back to this doesn't work without Colin Farrell, right? I mean,
No,
everything else, they all did a great job. But without Colin, we're not sitting here talking the way we are.
no,
And
he's
you
phenomenal.
Vic was done when we first met Vic,
Yep.
right? In the first episode, when he's taken and basically he's going to kill him, put him in the trunk of a car. And Vic is begging for his life and his stutter and stuff like that. The plot is trying to make you think that he identifies with him, but if you pay attention in that scene, you see once again a Colin Farrell look. He didn't say
Hmm.
anything. It isn't. Oh, it's very subtle, but that look right there told you that okay, this kid can be valuable to me for a while. Now, as it
Hmm.
goes on, we see that he actually comes to love Vic, which is the ultimate death sentence for Vic.
Yes,
And here once again, this is an interesting thing because we keep getting told how racist and horrible we are, right? Us
that's right.
fans, right? They don't
Hmm.
seem to care that whatever color we are, we're just we're horrible white supremacist Nazis.
Yep.
However, keep in mind one of the most lovable, truly lovable characters in this series was like a mulatto kid.
Yep. Hispanic black
Yeah,
mix thing.
Yeah,
something, right?
yeah.
Some sort of mix there, and he was
We really suck at this racist shit, dude. We
yeah, we're real
suck.
bad at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's by far, I would say, the character they clearly wanted you to love,
Oh
and they did a
yeah,
good
they,
job
yeah.
making you love him.
But
Um,
they didn't tell you, okay, here's your character to love, and then didn't do anything to reinforce it.
no,
They
they
reinforced
showed
it
it.
the entire series,
And
as
the
you
way
should.
they did it, one of the ways they did it is they made sure they kept Penguin charismatic enough that you rooted for him
Hmm.
and that you were wanting him to win. You wanted him to keep pushing. They did that a very, very good job of that, so that every time Vic showed up and helped him, saved him, whatever, or failed him, and then Penguin got mad at him, you felt that. You were like, ah, oh man, don't yell at Vic. Vic's a good boy. That's what they wanted you to feel, and they pulled it off,
Yeah,
and they did that because they knew the psychology here. They understood what Penguin is from the beginning. It wasn't like they just randomly decided, well, we need to make him more of a monster. No, no. No, they knew what he was right out of the gate. There was no doubt. That's why I think the first scene's so powerful because you get a glimpse of it. You see it in his
you
eyes.
do.
That's a
You do.
complete monster, is
Alan
what that
also
is.
mentions the scene where he sits with his mother, knowing where his brothers are.
Yeah.
That cements him as a monster as well. It does. It does.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, it's just a good show. And I think we're glomming on to it because we get so few good
So
things.
few. We're in a desert out here.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, we
yeah.
are. But even with that aside, it's it is done well done in every way that any kind of cinema or a medium media should be done. But it's just Colin Farrell, dude. I mean, I've always enjoyed him. I think we've all always enjoyed him, but I don't think we really knew how good he was until this.
No. I don't he's had a few roles here or there, but by and large, I don't think he's ever had anything he sunk his teeth into like
I
this because from what I
hope.
understand,
uh
him and Pattinson have done their homework. Once he got
Well,
these role and
he
whatever, they deep
obviously he
dived.
does, dude. He's from
Yes.
Ireland. Have you ever heard him speak?
Yes,
Not
he's very,
not
very Irish.
not only was his New Yorker perfect, it
Yep.
wasn't over the top perfect. Like,
No,
oi, would
it's
you
subtle.
like a pinch of tea and biscuit? It's not that shit, right? It was subtle, perfect New York. Actually,
Ah,
the little kid who was playing the younger penguin was a bit over the top, although I think he probably is from the Bronx or
yeah.
Brooklyn, that kid. But yeah, it he Colin Farrell does his homework, obviously.
No.
Obviously.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Him and Pattinson, I know at least they said they've done their homework. They got
Yeah.
in once they got the role. They went and either were given or went and found enough literature on the top because there's a lot on these two characters, and they dug in. And it's very clear to me that Mr. Farrell understands what a Batman villain is. Batman villains work best when they're monsters. Now they don't have to be literal monsters when they're just not redeemable.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Penguin's one of them. There's no redeeming Penguin. He knows what he is, and he's perfectly fine with it.
Mhm.
Joker, obviously, same way. And I think Riddler is the same way. I actually like their iteration of the
Yeah,
Riddler's
no, so did I.
madness.
It worked out
Yeah,
really well. And another thing to make a note of, my wife said this in regards to other movies and stuff, and this as well. The level of prosthetic makeup that they've risen to is impressive. I
it's
mean,
insane.
look
Yeah,
at this picture. That is makeup. That's not what
yep.
Colin Farrell. He's a very fit young man,
Very handsome
a
man.
very handsome young man. And the thing is, I would count the total number of times that I saw Colin in the movie was four.
Yep.
Four
And
times I
yeah,
saw Colin Farrell.
yep. I would say it's probably about right. There was sometimes when he would lean over, right? He would just
Yeah,
the
yeah,
way he
yeah.
would look, like his eyes
A
would
certain
angle, and you'd be
angle.
like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah, yeah.
there he
There's
is."
Colin, right? It's like four times. So the makeup on this was outstanding as well.
So
But yeah. But the only thing we can hope is that Colin is not so self-absorbed that he understands the importance of what he just did and that he loves it.
I think that's exactly what it is.
I well, we can only we don't we can only hope, right?
Yeah,
Because Hugh Jackman, he knew nothing about Wolverine. He went and did his homework, as you should. It is a job, right?
Yes.
Thought the character was pretty cool. Lived that life, right, for a long
Mhm.
time, and has never once regretted it. Loves that thing, embraces it, leans
I've never
into it,
understood it.
right?
It's one of those things about actors I've never understood. You hit it. You get a character and you have the chemistry, you nail it, right? You become that character and then you're like, "Well, I don't want to be typecast." Why? You're getting paid.
Why?
What
You're
do you
getting
care?
paid money. I mean, look at
Big money.
Jennifer Lawrence, perfect example.
Yep.
She was Mystique, and I preferred the other First Lady, but whatever. People liked her as
Yep.
Mystique, and they kept squeezing her in everywhere they could, and absolutely hates that character. She's embarrassed by it. Of course,
Mhm.
where have you been recently, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Making very small budget movies. That's where she's at.
yeah. Well, she's
Uh,
just a stupid girl. You should have been absolutely 100% proud to do Mystique, and you should have praised it, and you'd be working more if you did.
yep. No, I think Colin is he's been around a long time,
He
Mr.
has, yeah.
Farrell. I think he understands that this was I mean, he agreed to do the show. He can't possibly be one of these. Well, maybe he is, but he's been working for so long. He's got it. You would think he'd be financially secure. So it's not like he, most likely doesn't need the money. So if he's taken this role, which is an unbelievable effort, right? Not only does he have to put on an accent that doesn't really exist, but kind of exists, that they kind of had to make up for him. Like it's a New York accent, but it's not. It's it's very weird. It's awesome. It's perfect, but it's not something you would normally be able to just hear if you're out
Yeah,
there,
he's
right?
in a full bodysuit all the whole
Full
time.
bodysuit, full face mask.
He's got to fake a very awkward limp.
Yep,
Yeah,
the whole time.
it's the whole time, and you
It
never notice
is
any of it.
no, it is easily it's the best performance I think I've ever seen, and I mean that period. It's right up there. It's so good, and
Hmm.
it's consistently that. There's never a moment where it's not. Uh, it never looks like he phoned it in at any point
No,
throughout this whole series, which
another
is crazy.
there's so many good scenes, but another really great scene is when he's sitting on the throne of the judge's seat, talking
Yeah,
down, literally down, to the politician,
councilman.
the
Yep,
councilman. But that whole dialogue from him, wow, dude,
it's
just
so good.
wow, it's
Because
so good.
he knows he's right there. He knows he's basically got it now. He's gonna win. I think at that moment he kind of figures out that he's getting now. Granted, things happen and twists and turns, but he realizes that it's getting there now. Uh, and I don't know, man. It's just so
Hmm.
that's what this show feels like a breath. Like we've been holding our breath for years, waiting for something that was just, and finally it happens,
Yeah,
and you're like,
finally, yeah.
"Ah."
And
It just feels
another,
good to love a TV show again, bro.
yeah. Another scene was great was, Sophia is trying to twist his mom against him, and of course she's always held
Yep,
resentment against him. She actually gets her mom pissed off enough that the mother comes up and stabs him in the gut. Right,
yep,
he's gut shot. But yet then they start manhandling her, and it doesn't matter. It's his mom, you fuckers.
yep,
And
yep,
he's able to break the chair and get up and escape. That was also a very nice scene. The
mhm,
fact that his resourcefulness ended, but he also has the brute force.
yep, which is
That was
good.
a nice touch. Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk forever if I don't move us on. So I'm moving us on. Go watch it. What are you
Let's
doing?
do it. Go
Stop it.
watch Penguin.
Stop
Go
it.
watch it.
Okay.
You will love it. You won't regret it.
We won't forget it. All right, let me take a look here real quick and see if oh, there's our boy.
There he
Rotten
is.
Tomatoes has anything here. Wicked hasn't got anything come through yet, and I have a feeling they kind of screwed themselves with this stupid racist, because she's just a racist, an old racist lady, black lady. Shocking, right?
Shocking.
That's been a switch though. When I was young, it was the old black men that were racist, right?
Mhm.
In the black community, right? The old black man racist as shit, right? But it's
Oh, yeah.
shifted, right? And it's the black ladies now, particularly kind of middle-aged old black ladies. They're bad racist, dude, real bad. Um, But anyway, Gladiator here has got a 75 from the critics, nothing from the audience. So this hasn't really dropped, I guess, maybe this weekend. I don't know. What do you think about that one? It just, it's got Denzel. I love Denzel, but I don't
I
know,
keep
dude.
hearing mixed things about it. Like you'll hear that, oh, it's just garbage, cash in, it's full of lib coded bullshit, and then you'll hear out of other people who wouldn't praise something like that, like, no, I was completely wrong. This is gonna be a cult classic in 10 years. You watch. Like, I don't know. Here's what I do know. I don't want it to exist. I wish
Yeah,
I wish I lived in a world where it never happened.
yeah, I don't know why I need it. I think it's the main
No.
thing in my head. I was like, yeah, I don't need a Gladiator 2, dude. If it turns out to be like a fun little popcorn romp, okay. But I have a feeling they're going to be too full of themselves to give us that. Because I don't know that you can improve upon Gladiator.
No, they nailed it. You nailed it.
It's really, it's one of, everyone goes to Ridley Scott talking about all his other things, but Gladiator is his best movie. Let's be fair.
It used to be my favorite movie for a long time of my life.
And it's very solid. And of
It's
course, Russell
it's
Crowe
just
just
great.
chewing
Yeah.
scenery, right?
It was when Russell was in his absolute peak. He went on like a 5-year, 6-year bender where he just dominated Hollywood.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
performances consistent every movie, bam, bam, bam. We just I think he won 2 Oscars in that time, something like that. Like he was just eating everything. He was
yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
It
Russell's a
was
great
crazy.
actor.
He was
Yeah.
at that time, he was my favorite actor going, but he's fallen off. I think he stopped caring, to be
Oh,
honest with
Alan says Gladiator 2 has hip hop music in it. Ooh.
you. Ooh.
Ah,
Well, apparently there was supposed to be a gay kiss with Denzel and some man, and they shot it, but it wasn't in the movie.
yeah,
So,
why? Who gives a shit? Is your movie about gay men in Rome? I mean, if it is, okay, cool. You know,
sure,
but
fine.
that's not your movie. But anyway, Conclave. I actually, this is gonna be slow, very slow paced, right? But
Yep.
I might watch this one actually. This is about electing of a new pope and all the drama that goes on around it. And it's got
Hmm.
yeah, no, I probably go to watch this one, but it's going to be a very slow drama. Red One, I have watched the critics whose opinions are similar to me, and they're very disappointed in this movie, unfortunately, because I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, I hope that's fun. The critics absolutely hate it. The audience seems to like it, so maybe there's some popcorn fun here, but it's so paint by numbers, is what the critics are
It's a rock
saying.
movie.
It's a rock movie and it's got a lot of woke nonsense in it. I don't know. We'll see. I'll wait until some of the other critics start talking about it. But when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, I hope that's fun. I hope that'll be fun. Wow, that people loving whatever this thing. No, no, no. You Heretic. Of course, it's got Hugh Grant in it. Boy, his second life has been very interesting.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I've
Look at
enjoyed
these
it.
two movies back to back here. The critics love them, and the audience is kind of mid on them. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I tend to kind of look at the comparison between the two. But Hugh's been doing some interesting stuff lately. Juror 2, why? Okay, whatever. Once again, whatever. Let's see here. Venom, the critics hate it, but for the most part, the fans seem to think it's one of the better Venom movies, which is not
That's not saying
hard to
much.
do. We got our
I
Peaky
actually
Blinders
hear that
movie,
Best Christmas Pageant Ever is really, really good. Really good, like, family
like
Christmas
comedy.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
haven't
don't
really
know.
had
It's
one of
kind of
those in a
hard to beat
long
Jingle
time.
All the Way.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna probably say the last one of Christmas themed was probably Elf, but I know how much you love Will Ferrell.
I could go. Um,
At least
uh,
in Elf, he's playing a different character. If that makes you, he's actually acting.
that's true. None of this crap is interesting to me. Blitz. Why is there another? We already have a movie named Blitz, and it's a rather early Jason Statham movie. It's British. Why we have another one called Blitz? What's wrong with you people?
Well,
Stop it.
stop it.
Stop it. All right. This is.
Oh, I love the Jokers. The, there's very rare times in the world where we hit synchronicity between the smug critics and the normal people.
Uh huh.
Joker and Wild Robot. both the opposite direction, of course, but both hit synchronicity at the same time. That is fascinating to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people actually seem to enjoy Wild Robot. Beetlejuice is, people seem to have fun with it. If you like a Beetlejuice movie, Megalopolis, one of the biggest mega drops, mega failures of all time. It's shocking how
Yep.
much money this movie lost. Alien Romulus, all the critic reviews I've seen on it, they were pissed, right?
Yep.
Because it started so cool. They were like, "Oh, what a great idea," and then they fucked it up with their Hollywood bullshit, right?
Mhm.
Um,
As
and,
they do.
and as they do, and every critic I saw said the same thing. Obviously, the director had a cool idea, and then the frickin' suits stepped in, and they're
Yep.
probably right. They're probably right. Joker, God, what a bunch of mess that is. Let's see here. Well, Michael Keaton's been having a second life as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Um,
The people seem to like the Superman documentary. That's good.
why are we
About old
remaking
Chris.
The Day of the Jackal again?
Yeah. 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 Not only that, that is one of at least 3 different shows that are on either Peacock or, I think they're pretty much all on Peacock. That's basically the same show. Powerful, strong black woman detective or investigator, whatever, chasing white killer.
Yeah, because the world's full
That's
of
the show.
those. But yeah, and it's the same lady, and I'm not a big fan of hers. There are some black actresses that are great, sure, but
She ain't one of them.
I don't know why they keep throwing her in our face. And that other one, the one that's doing the Wicked, what Dajanja Kapakamala, whatever hell her name is,
Yep.
that lady is just a frickin' racist, dude. Fuck
Yep.
you twice, right?
So Chester, you see that Dune prophecies coming. What are we thinking about
I
this?
don't care.
It's going to be on HBO.
I
It
don't
might be good.
care. Yeah, I'm really indifferent. Understand this is all about the Gesserit, and they're going to
Yeah.
run hardcore with their lesbian feminism, dude. They're going to run hardcore. You know they are.
Yeah. But I mean, kind of
Well, they
fits.
are the Benny Gesserits. You're right.
Yeah.
But I know. Do you really want an entire series about the Benny Gesserits? Is that what you want?
No. No, but it could be good. I doubt it will be,
The
but
critics
it
don't even
could
like
be.
it, dude. So they
Well, yeah,
didn't
but that's
feminist
it's
hard
that's
enough.
not even all of them. That's not even all of it. So, well, that could be a good sign if they didn't feminist on it. Now, one thing I will say about the new Dune movies, I was hoping we'd get a little bit more of the pushback that they get, but maybe we will get there because doesn't he eventually kill them all in the books, if I remember right?
Oh
Or
yeah.
one of
Oh
them
yeah.
do. I'm pretty sure it's him. Pretty sure it's
And then
Paul.
no, it's his son that becomes
Ah,
the
okay.
real big
Yep.
deal. And of course,
Yep.
thousand some odd years later, the story kind of takes on a different form. But
Yep.
they never get there though. They just keep telling the same a book over and over and over. They can't get to book 2 or 3 or 10.
No.
They're just stuck on book one, just stuck.
Yep.
Live. What is this? Like water for chocolate, dude. Fuck off. I don't want water or chocolate.
What does that even mean? That is the dumbest fucking title ever. That's just words together. What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. But whatever. Lioness. All right, fine.
She's
Uh,
coming.
yeah, whatever. No, you
Chester,
keep.
did we ever check out the ballerina trailer?
I don't wanna.
Because it came out.
I don't wanna.
It doesn't look
I
bad.
don't wanna.
It doesn't look
I don't care.
bad. Well, here's why it doesn't look bad. Let me tell you. Because in the trailer, her trainer straight tells her to her face that she's never going to be stronger or faster or tougher than these men. So she has to be smarter, or well, smart, not faster, smarter, faster, and when all else fails, to cheat.
Yeah, well, that's always true. That's true. Yeah, but I don't
Yeah,
care. The thing I don't need it. You see, I have
nobody needs it.
I have Keanu Reeves as John Wick. Enough said,
He's in it.
right?
He's there. Well, he makes a cameo. I don't know
Oh,
how
I know
much
he's
he's in
gonna
it,
make a
but
cameo. He's not gonna be in that movie, dude, or whatever the series or whatever the hell it is. The Continental, I watched an episode and was like, I noped right out of it.
it's Yeah, it's boring. It's
Yeah, I
real
noped right
boring.
out of it.
Nothing
The idea
happens.
was good, but no, I just don't need it. I don't need a female spinoff. And when are they going to learn? They've created this environment. They've created this environment where I'm suspicious of anything that has a female or black female lead. They created
Yes,
that. They did that.
it's
All right.
true. It's true.
So whatever. I'm done, and it's going to be a while before I'm not done. And I don't care
Now,
if it's the best damn thing ever made. I don't give a shit. I ain't watching it.
what if it's somehow leads into John Wick 5?
No, I don't
Because
care.
we know they're gonna undo that he's dead, obviously. They're gonna make another one.
Yeah, but
There's too much money on the table.
Yeah, but once again, do we even need John Wick 5? For one, and two, screw that moron who made that movie. All right, that guy, the director. I mean, this idiot that there needs to be consequences. Dude, you're making a fucking action flick where people are knocking bullets away with frickin' suit jackets. Fuck
Did he
off.
roll off the couch?
Fuck right off, dude. I mean, what the hell is wrong with you? Consequences. Idiot.
So, Chester, I have a big 150-pound American Akita.
I know.
Well, he was laying on one of my couches out here, and he was sleeping, minding his own business. He barely fits on the couch as is. He's so big, right?
Yeah,
And apparently, he decided in his sleep to roll over and rolled right off the couch,
good boy.
knocked all kinds of stuff over.
So assuming you guys are over his destruction of antique furniture.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what are we gonna do about it?
Yeah, it
It's
is what it
done.
is. It's you got a big
Yeah,
dog. You have to. That's part of the process. But
yeah.
anyway, let's get away from. I always come to Rotten Tomatoes because they're such idiots. The perfect place to look at stuff. And let's go over here and take a look at our box office mojo as we usually do. So let's go in here and take a look at the weekend as we always do. Red One made some money. It's certainly not enough money, but it made some money. Last Dance, they're not making money on this, but a normal movie would have.
Mhm, mhm.
127 million gross domestic.
Man,
Yeah.
Hollywood. I can't wait to see the year-end numbers for Hollywood. These,
Hmm.
yeesh, it's gotta be about 20-30% down. It has to be.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
we look at it every week, and there's just nothing. You'll have a couple here or there, but they're very few and far between. We still have a couple coming. Moana 2 is gonna make a ton of money. It's gonna print money, of course.
I don't
What's the other
know.
one coming?
I don't know because I went and I saw a little bit of just a glimpse of the trailer. Yeah, there's nothing here, dude. I saw a glimpse of the trailer. They made Moana real ugly, dude. She's bad ugly. She was kind of cute in the first movie, right? But oh no, she's
Mhm.
ugly. Boy, they uglified her
Well,
real bad.
they made her more Polynesian. I got it,
Yeah, well, I mean,
okay.
the
They're not
Fijian
a beautiful
ones.
people.
Well, some of
They're
the
not a beautiful
Fijian
people.
ones can be quite cute, actually.
Um,
But yeah,
but
no,
no, I don't know if it's gonna matter. It's still gonna probably be $1 billion movie. It's Moana was so huge over here, bro, and fair enough. It's good. It's a good movie. Uh, so yeah, I think you're probably looking at least $1 billion right there. Unless things happen. Maybe things go cockeyed and it just doesn't happen. But I'd be very surprised if it doesn't hit that at least a billion mark. But what we've seen this year is nothing else is really hitting like that. You had Inside Out 2 made a ton of money. Obviously, you had Wolverine make a ton of movie. Deadpool and Wolverine make a ton of money.
yeah,
Well, there was another one that broke a billion. I can't remember what it is, but Dune 2 made money. It didn't make a ton of money. Um, I don't think there's much else throughout the whole year.
no,
Like
it's not
there've
been a
been
good
four or
year.
five.
We knew it wouldn't be. We
Yeah.
reviewed what was coming last year, and we knew this was going to be a pretty dismal year, and it was. There was
Hmm.
some fun little indie stuff. I think a lot of us are excited here in December, upcoming in December, to see Nosferatu, and hopefully Robert
Hmm.
Eggers keeps pumping out the awesome. Um,
He will. He
I
will.
have a feeling it looks amazing. And Alan says, like Water for Chocolate is a great movie that didn't need a remake unless this is a series. Yeah, you're what language are you speaking, Alan? I don't. Yeah, I just
I
don't
did
feel
see
like
that, Alan. Actually,
I don't need anything that's named like Water for Chocolate. I don't.
yeah. I don't. I don't
But
even
all right, that's
understand what
fine.
those words
Yeah, yeah.
mean in that
I
sequence.
don't understand here. Let me
Um,
let
did you
me
see what he
find it.
said? Did you
here.
see what he said above that, though? Did you see that? The Bible that got stuck in the tree
Yeah, I
during the
saw that.
hurricane.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting. Oh, what are we doing? Mike Water. There it
I'm
is.
going to try to see if I can understand what the hell it is. All right, so it's rated very high. It's another Max thingy. It says
Mm-hmm.
star-crossed lovers Tito and Pedro's romance is thwarted by her family's tradition, forcing Tita to navigate magic and flowers in the kitchen as she fights for love and embraces her destined path.
Is it about alchemy or
Fuck
something?
off. I don't care. God, this is like the things that gives me aneurysms. I don't need it. It is a TV
Uh,
show though, Alan. Yeah, I just don't I don't care about drama shit, dude. I just don't care. I don't
he
care.
doesn't care,
I
folks.
do not care. Anyway, let's move on to wow.
Yeah, 60 million households watch Jake Paul
$60
versus Mike
million.
Tyson.
dollars.
Here's the problem. Netflix needed to prove that they could stream something big, and they utterly failed. So the most contiguously watched stream of this fight
Mhm.
was the former professional football wide receiver Antonio Brown streaming from a pen what's it called suite. The big they were in AT&T Stadium, has that giant screen.
Mhm.
Streaming that, his phone pointed at that stream onto Twitter. That was that they had more contiguous viewers than Netflix did
Uh-huh.
because Netflix couldn't keep them. It kept crashing. Uh, that's a serious problem, Netflix, especially considering you have Monday Night Raw starting in January. It's supposed to be live on
Uh-oh.
Netflix every week. Yep, we got a problem, folks. We've got a problem.
Yeah.
Uh, they want to get more into doing more live stuff, and that's fine. But your service, especially sports, like this one doesn't really matter that much. I mean, it was, people want to pretend like, we want it all make believe, but he's 60 years old, guys. Calm down.
No, people
Uh,
just want him to knock him out. That's all they want.
yeah, and fair enough. But if you're putting out a sport that isn't, kind of a joke, people are going to get real mad if it starts buffering on them in the middle of a football game.
True.
So
That's
you
true.
better you better fucking tie it down, lock
Right.
this stuff down, boys, because you got a big stress coming with Raw. Raw probably on Netflix, I'd imagine, is going to have at least 2 million live viewers, especially
More.
for the beginning, if not more. Because one of the things that's going to be good about it is it's not only just going to be in America, you're going to be able to access it from other places in the world,
Right.
and that's going to put serious strain on Netflix's servers. So
You know,
Netflix, you better get on it.
and there are people who know how to do that.
Yes.
Why don't you just talk to them? Okay. Alan says he thinks this was rigged. Tyson got more money for losing. Sure.
It's boxing.
It's an exhibition. Who cares?
It's
Obviously, Mike wasn't going at it the way we know Mike can. He was very pulled back. The most telling thing was that Jake was quite active for the most of the fight. Never once hurt Mike at all. That's
yep,
the most telling thing I got out of it. But no, it's just a stupid exhibition thing. I knew that it was either going to be Mike come and knock him out in the first couple of rounds for the publicity of it, or it was going to be long and boring. And it was the latter.
yep.
Yeah.
It was basically just probably, hopefully, one last hurrah for Iron Mike, who has over the last decade, 2 decades, turned into one very, very good man. So I'm not mad at him. He went
No,
in there, he did it. He put on a show. Maybe it wasn't a great one, but he put on a show.
nah, it
Uh,
was shit, dude.
so
That was shit.
sold out a stadium, which is impressive. I can't be mad at him. Don't care. I don't care if people didn't like it. It's boxing. Boxing's almost always boring. Uh, the best boxer of all time on paper is Mayweather Jr. and his fights are the most boring thing you've ever seen because it's just defense. That's all he does is play defense. Uh, it's I don't know why we can continuously try to continuously make boxing a thing still. MMA has won. It's more fun to
Yeah,
watch.
but it's even more boring, though.
Well, when you have wrestlers, when you have actual fighters, it's not as bad. Uh, One of the things I think they should add to MMA, personally, just side note, is pins, so that way they have to get the fuck up. They can't just lay on their back and just stay there, right? Like they do. So if you stay down for too long, you literally lose points, just like if you do a low blow or whatever. Uh, I don't see any reason why that isn't in MMA anyway. You already have wrestling's already a
Yeah,
staple. Why wouldn't you
yeah.
add a
But then
pin?
again, if you want to keep them on your feet, just do boxing. But
Yeah, but then you can't kick them. You
oh
mean do
well, you
kickboxing?
just
But
do kickboxing. But
for
yeah,
some reason,
this
kickboxing's not as popular. I don't know why.
it is weird. But yeah, no, this was dumb. It was dumb, boring nonsense. Everyone's like, "It's rigged. They fought through it, dude. It's a freaking exhibition match. Come on now." And did they set it up to where it ended the way it was supposed to with Mike? Yeah, sure. Why not? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? I don't really care. It was just boring as hell, and I wasted, 40 minutes of my life.
Prime Prime Mike Tyson was an animal. He was great fun to watch,
Ferocious, yeah.
and it was probably well, Tyson Fury's pretty good, but I don't know how if his shit's rigged or not. Um, One of the last times boxing was really, really, really cool was Prime Mike Tyson. Probably the last time, if we're being honest. And I just don't think that era is ever going to come again. You're still going to have big fights every now and again. You're still going to have, Tyson Fury's still Tyson Fury. But the reason why Tyson Fury stuff works is because he knows how to talk shit. He's a fantastic talker.
Well,
In a
he's
different world,
he's a
he's the best.
gypsy.
Yes, he's the best WWE champion of all time because he's out here just talking all that shit.
Well,
Uh,
well, first of all, let me back you up 1,000 freaking miles on that. Okay. Whatever. Yeah. Tyson Fury is a gigantic human. Okay.
correct.
I mean, he's like what, 8 feet or something. It's just ridiculous how huge he is. He's always on about, hey, I'm a gypsy. I'm a gypsy. Oi, 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 I'm a gypsy. I fucking hate Tyson Fury. I can't stand that shit. Daniel Dubois, he's dropped the ball a lot. Of course, we looking at some of the other ones here. But honestly, this dude, your actual number one guy, Alexander Usyk,
Yeah.
freaking phenomenal, phenomenal. And if you haven't seen Usyk fight, you should, because he's one of the best actual boxers I've ever seen. We in heavyweight division, you don't get a lot of these stellar boxers. That's one of the things about Muhammad Ali that caught or Cassius Clay that caught so many people's eye. He's a big man, but he was a great boxer. Usyk is like that. He's an amazing boxer. I love Alexander Usyk. Tyson Fury, I mean, he comes out of nowhere every now and then because he's so huge, and if he catches you, you're in trouble, dude. Right? Because he's so
Well, he's
big and
only ever
powerful.
lost one fight.
Yeah, no, no, I'm
He,
not, and
which was to him.
he lost it to
Yeah.
this
So
dude,
that
right?
guy. Yeah.
But Joseph Parker's career is dead, by the way.
Yeah,
But
he's done.
he's done. But I'm not going to take that away from Tyson, but I just can't stand to look at him or listen to him. I can't. I
Which would
hate.
have made him a great wrestling heel,
Oh
Chester.
no, he'd be great heel. Oh no, you're right. I'd
Oh
love
my
him then.
God.
I would love him then. I would love him then. Um, I would. But yeah, I just can't. The whole fucking gypsy thing, dude. Well, why am I? Can I spell? I should
He's the
learn to spell.
Chester. He's the Gypsy King. What do you mean?
God.
You realize that that's one of the main reasons he does it, right? Because it triggers the shit out of people.
It does. He's right. He's right. But yeah. Now, well, this is middleweight. What are you doing here? This is not heavyweight. Okay. Welterweight, lightweight.
Or is
Where's
this
my?
pound for pound? Maybe this is pound for pound.
It is. Yeah, it
That's what it
is.
looks like. Yeah.
Heavyweight. Oh, here we go. Cruiserweight, lightweight, super middle, middleweights. So, I kind of think he's probably retired now. But you had the other Ukrainian guy who was ridiculously good. Um, let's
Hmm.
see here.
Whose name I can't remember, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Ukrainian.
yeah,
Ridiculous.
a real strange Ukrainian name. Just one of the best boxers you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm getting a little guy. Let me see if I can go up here a little bit. Alvarez, you got, yeah, those guys are pretty good too. Arturo, of course, is very good. Bivol, Dmitry Bivol. This guy is really good. He's Russian, though. You're supposed to hate him. Um,
Mhm.
you got this other Russian guy here is really good.
See, man,
Um,
one of these Russians, if this is the problem with Russians is they're they're very their personalities are very weird. If one of these
they
Russians
can
came out and
invade.
just leaned into it and went full fucking like fucking Volkov, just fucking
Yeah, yeah,
into
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, they'd be the biggest star in boxing, bro.
They would be, yeah. But there are some really good guys the past decade in boxing. Heavyweight division has taken quite the interesting turn.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, it was mostly black dudes all day long, right?
Mhm.
There were a couple people who came up, but now most of the divisions are dominated by not black guys, and it's kind
Right.
of interesting. It's a big shift. Not it doesn't really, not that that matters. It's just showing you because one of the things we know, genetically, biologically, black dudes have an advantage when it comes to sport. We know this.
Mhm.
We all know this.
Well, one
Uh,
of the ones that the only one that they don't is powerlifting.
yeah, power things, the white dudes got the advantage,
Yeah.
sure. And of course, with things that are very nimble, like gymnastics, the Orientals have. Sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure. But when it comes to muscle
Combat
return
sports.
and combat sports and track and
Yeah.
field and things like that, black people have an advantage. We know this, and it's
Mhm.
it's fine, right? It is what it is. But in boxing, it's very interesting. We've seen that shift because I never would have expected that. If you asked me back in the 80s or 90s if all of the great boxers that were boxing were all a bunch of white Baltic guys, I'd be no, never, right? But it is what it
Right.
is. It is what it is. So those Baltic guys are kicking ass, and it's amazing because it's all boxing based. It's all boxing. They're not
Yep.
just muscling there like Tyson Fury. He's just a brute, right?
Right.
And because of his side and strength, he can win, and good for him. I just can't stand listening to him.
One thing I'll give Tyson is he will shit all over the media, and I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And another
Yeah.
thing I do actually like about Tyson Fury is the fact that he's proving that big, gigantic men are not stupid.
No, he's very smart. Very, very smart man.
Because people, when they
Um,
see big dudes like me, or he's way bigger than I am,
yeah, he's a
they
beast.
automatically think we're dumb. And now you can use
Right.
that to your advantage sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But he's very clever, well spoken. You kind of forget how giant he is. I mean, freaking giant he is, right?
Mhm.
Tyson, who is a heavyweight devastation wrecking ball in his prime, would look like a child next to Tyson Fury.
Yes. Correct. But by the way, he was always small. Like even in
Yeah,
his
Mike's a
prime,
little
he
guy.
wasn't.
Yeah,
He's not a big guy for for a heavyweight boxer, but he just had that freak power, just freak cannon for an arm, literally, and he could just drop people. It was scary
yeah,
watching him
yeah,
in his prime,
yeah.
which is what
Anyway,
people were hoping for. They were hoping he was going to be able to pull that out from deep down in the nethers of his soul, one last great punch and knock Jake Paul's head off. But I'll be honest, I don't hate Jake Paul anymore. I know a lot of people still do, and they think he's annoying and blah blah blah. The dude's grown up a lot in the last few years. He really has, and I think I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where he goes. He needs to fight somebody for real, though. That would be nice. Um,
I
Stop
don't
fighting old
know,
men.
dude. He doesn't have much as far as he's not. He doesn't look like a boxer to me. He doesn't have much in the technique. He was able to go the 8 rounds, but he was pretty winded, and they were only doing 2-minute rounds. And
Yep.
he got a lot of shots in on Mike, but he never hurt him, dude. Never hurt him,
No.
and
No.
that's
Well,
not
we'll
good.
see.
That's not
We will
good.
see.
Yeah.
I just here's the thing: is he doesn't even have to. He can keep having show fights and making millions and millions
He's
of
made.
dollars. And
He can retire. This kid, right?
oh, he could have a long time ago. Yeah. And then his brother is killing it in WWE.
Yeah.
It's annoying how good he is. I hate that he's so good at it, but he's undeniably great in the ring. He just is.
Yeah,
He
they're
gets
just
it.
athletic boys.
Yep.
But
Ohio boys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Paul's.
they just pissed a lot of people off with their childish antics, I think.
Yep.
But nevertheless, let's look at our last story of today, which has nothing to do with Tyson Fury.
Here he is. Here he comes. Trump victory already making Hollywood great again. Oscars change things up.
Now, you remember how the Oscars put in a really, really, really stupid rule saying if you don't have a black person in your movie, you can't be considered for an Oscar? That
Yep.
incredibly racist thing they did a couple of years ago. You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they seem to
Yeah.
be backpedaling.
Interesting.
Dude, are you crazy, Roger? Do you want Jake to die? Put him against Carnelo Alvarez? The fuck, dude? That's mean.
I think they do. A lot of people dislike Mr. Paul.
Yeah,
Very much
just,
so.
whatever you do, do not wake up Carnelo. Do not make him angry in any way, shape, or form. Because that's a smaller guy, but he will wreck your world, dude, Carnelo.
Canelo, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Um,
he's really, really devastating,
yep.
Alvarez. Yeah.
Yes. Roger's like, yes, I want him to die. Kill him. Punch his head off.
Jesus Christ.
Uh, no, this is good. This is again, like I said, there's a vibe shift.
Yeah, no,
I, I,
it's
I
obvious. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it, Chester, because I do it every time because I've earned it. I told everybody so.
Yeah.
I told everybody it was gonna happen in 2022 to 2024, and where are we now? And like I said, the thing that was the catalyst, well, not really that it was already started, but the thing that was the obvious catalyst was Top Gun Maverick. And now you have people writing big articles about how Top Gun Maverick changed the culture, blah, 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 blah. And I said it years ago, long before anybody else caught on.
Mhm.
Uh, this sort of stuff, plus Trump's landslide victory, is this has happened before. Remember, you mentioned Reagan. Well, the Reagan era was a vibe shift. It was a
It
massive
was.
vibe
It's
shift.
exactly what it was. It's very similar him and Trump as far as the feeling, as far as
Yep.
the governance. I would I don't put them together, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's where we're at now. I think that's where we're probably going to keep going for the next little while here.
Hmm.
Hopefully, the Doge, Department of Government Efficiency,
Oh,
can can do its job. And
freaking
Elon said
Elon.
2 trillion. I want 2 trillion, Elon, at least,
No,
at
and
least.
and he and it's smart by Trump by putting Vivek there next to him, making sure there's an actual politician next to him so he doesn't get too out of control. That was
Yep.
smart move, a little bit of a nanny there for Elon, and of course Elon is being allowed to have way too much fun. They
He's the main
literally
character.
he
He's
is.
the main character.
He's got that syndrome for sure.
Yep.
But they've allowed him to make his joke with the naming of a government agency. Jesus, Elon. He was even trying to make his lame ass, awkward, autistic joke about it. But anyway, but I still can't. I would love to see Canelo Alvarez just absolutely tear the hell out of anybody, really. Canelo is really good. You ever seen him fight?
Yes, I
Yeah, yeah.
have.
Canelo boy. But
Yep.
he's like what, a middle cruiserweight, middleweight, super heavyweight, super middleweight or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my wife was asking me some questions. Um,
No, you're right, Glenn.
but yeah,
We've already hit a shift, and we're talking about that, dude. Yeah.
yeah, there's a obvious cultural vibe shift. We're seeing it now play out even in Hollywood. Um, just a few years ago, she wouldn't like Ziegler would go back to her having to apologize. That wouldn't happen.
It ain't gonna matter. It's not gonna help. But yeah,
No,
you're
but
right.
my point
You're
is
right.
even that gesture wouldn't happen. Because Trump supporters are evil, racist, fascist, bigots, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's absolutely true. It looks like the next Oscars, which no one really cares. I kind of think you guys burned all the bridges. I don't know if you're going to save it. But they're bringing Conan O'Brien. Okay, boring red man. Uh, in to of course Jimmy Kimmel's. Anything's better, really. But
Yep.
Kimmel's out. O'Brien's in. That doesn't mean anything. When's he going to Canada? We all want to know. And of course, it goes in here making the Oscars great again. Trump will be back in the White House. Political BS are out. Did he make the thing? And this article goes on to talk about them dropping that racist thing and changing back to some of their They've promised that there will be no political nonsense at the Oscars. Does anyone believe that? Anybody? Anybody?
No.
Do you actually believe that because they've said that they're not going to have any more political statements or political nonsense at the Oscars? I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe it for a second. They might have in there with O'Brien and other people not mentioning it in the general monologue of the show, but you got to get these woke Hollywood people to get up there and bitch constantly. You know it. And honestly, I don't think they can save the Oscars. Do you?
I hope not. We don't need it.
No, no.
It's been garbage forever,
For a very long
forever.
time. When I was a kid, it was an event. Now, to be fair, we only had 3 channels. Okay.
Mhm.
So there wasn't really much to watch anyway. I mean, shit, we used to watch Miss Universe pageant, right? Because there's not much else to watch. But it used to be an event. It was something people waited for. The Grammys a little bit too, but mainly the Oscars. And they made it a fun, entertaining night. It was a night of entertainment, but now it's a night of lecturing, right? And I just don't know
Right.
that. Yeah, the Oscars can kiss my ass too, Alan. I just don't think they
Yeah.
save it. Honestly, I don't want it to be saved. I want it to burn. It's unfortunate because I do grew up in an era where I got to enjoy actual fun Oscars. I did. But they've ruined this long ago. And I know I'm well aware that even back in the 80s, Hollywood was just as woke as it is now. We know this.
Yeah.
But at least they understood that. At least the money guys understood that. Well, yeah, but we need to speak to the masses. They gave up on this decades ago, dude.
Yes. Yep. But the vibe shift is real.
It is real, and that's the point of me putting the article out. There's been a lot of shifts, just automatically just from him being elected, and it's not just him being elected. It's the sheer weight of the number of people behind his election, and when it's done, is it's emboldened people, right,
Yep.
all around the world to start speaking their mind again. And of course, particularly the Americans, they are just not afraid to wear their MAGA cap. They're not afraid to walk out in public. And that in itself is an important thing because you don't see any of these people telling the crazy woke lefties they can't have their opinion. No one's saying that, right? But they have been oppressed for years, and now they're starting to speak out, which is very, very nice. Although we were talking about some of the things these progressives have been pushing on, right? They've been pushing on the fact, oh, we're not going to be able to educate our kids. Ridiculous statements. Abortion. There's all these women are dying. Name one, just one. Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
Another thing they've been going on, and and you tell me what you think. Listen to this. Listen to this statement that's been made by many, many feminists. All right, in the past few days. Right. Listen to this. There are men, and particularly young boys at schools, going around to girls saying, "Your body, my choice."
Yeah.
Now, do you think that ever happened anywhere ever?
No.
No, no, because first of all, I don't know any men that believe that. I
No.
don't think I've ever met one that believes that.
They're trolling you.
It's a yeah, they are. But that's very much a Hollywood trope that men have that, your body, you're a woman, come here, grab you by the hair, drag you, beat you with a club. Yeah,
Yep.
that's not at all what men think. Men don't think this way, and I've never met one who does, right? Your body, my choice. Men, first of all, men know that ain't happening. We know that ain't happening. So, I mean, why would he even hint at it? And now you might say that, well, young boys like middle school maybe um, might do that just trying to be trolls. But no, I don't even see that happening. And keep in mind, most of the accusations are coming from women talking about elementary school boys who don't even know what the hell you're talking about, lady. Especially boys. You think elementary school boys understand anything about abortion?
Mhm.
Have you ever met one? I teach them. Boys are slow. They're slow in the uptake. They catch up to the girls. They do. Not at that age. It's more like in high school where they start leveling out. Girls are age mentally a lot quicker, and of course for good reason, because they need to be able to get to a point where they can get pregnant and have a baby pretty much quicker than boys need to make them. That's why it's just a adaptation thing, right? So if
Right.
you go to elementary school, those girls are going to be, in general, in the vast majority, are going to be way sharper than those boys, because it just takes the boy's mind to longer to develop. With that understanding and the truth of what I just said, those boys don't they don't even understand what you're talking about,
Mhm.
right? It's shocking to me how they're really trying to make this a narrative. They're trying to make it a narrative that men are going around saying your body, my choice, and it's like,
Mhm.
wow. Now I'm not in the country. You are. Have you ever heard anyone say anything as stupid as that?
The only person who said it was Nick Fuentes on Twitter, and he did it literally as a troll. And because the left is incapable of understanding irony or, sarcasm,
Satire, sarcasm. Yeah, yeah.
they they took it very, very, very seriously. And then they blew it up into this big thing as if, see, this is Trump's America. Even though Nick Fuentes is not a Trump voter. He openly said, don't vote for Donald Trump. So what are we
Yeah.
talking about?
Okay.
Uh, it's a troll, people. At no point is this spin reality, at least not in the West. I can't speak for the whole world, but definitely not here. It's something that these feminists have taught you as if it was the truth, and it's not the truth.
No, it's
And you know
so
how I know
outrageous. Yeah.
you know how I know it isn't the truth? Because I'm one of these every so often you have these bridge generations, and I'm in one of them.
Uh,
The people born in the early 80s uh, are basically considered a bridge generation, in between like 80 to 85. Because, yeah, Gen X was already done, and the millennials were such a shift from Gen X. Well, the ones in between, like me, are a little bit of both, where we remember the before times, before the internet and before social media, very, very clearly, because we were children then and growing up as teenagers then. But, well, the internet was around, but not really. Uh, but we also, obviously, in our formative years as adults, had the internet, watched the explosion, the whole deal. So we grew up in between the analog digital bridge, right? That's a bridge
sure.
generation. There's other examples of it. So a bridge generation, they have a different way of looking at the world because they can see it from both worlds, the world that was and the world that is. And
Sure.
we're not too old to where we can't really appreciate the world that is. We can't really do it, right? Get into it. And we're not too young that we're, as you said, like young boys are. They don't know anything, ignorant. We're right in that bridge, right in that gap. So that is what it allows us to see the world a little bit differently than the others that came around us. And one of the things that's really cool about that is the problems like you're talking about. We're one of the only ones who actually. So one, I'll give you a great example. Trump's people that he's picking, that we're talking about, right? Aside from Elon and a couple others, are bridgers, are from what they call the Zennials. They're very close to my age, or they're just out of it, right? They're either coming into 40 or they're in their early 40s. There are like even his VP is 40. Uh, that's a very, very good sign. That's a very, very good sign of what we were talking about, the vibe shift. Because one of the big things that was a problem for so long, what your generation dealt with over here especially, is we had all these old people who wouldn't get the hell out of the way.
Oh yeah.
And now they don't have much of a choice because they're just too damn old. Uh, and Trump's clearly made an effort to pick younger people than normal for his cabinet, for his people around him, right? Because
Well,
he's 80
he
and his vice
wants
president's 40.
Japan
Uh,
because America needs a run. We need a run.
yes. But my point where I'm going with this is we're talking about Fuentes and his nonsense and the nonsense of your body, my choice. That hasn't been the case. So where I'm going with this is my grandparents were old enough to be another bridge generation. The people born in the 20s are a bridge generation. The world before 1920 is completely different to the world after 1920. Uh, and, or well, really whenever the radio was invented. are promulgated. So my point is, I have talked to these people, right? She was my grandmother. At no point did my grandmother, who was a liberal woman, ever say she was oppressed growing up in the 20s and the 30s, ever say that she felt like she was lesser than, or, you know, that stupid little catchphrase of, their my body, their choice,
Mm.
basically. At no point was there any of this kind of conversation because it didn't happen. But if you listen to these feminists who have tried to rewrite history, oh, women were horribly oppressed and men could just beat them in the street and they weren't allowed to own anything and they were basically slaves. It's ridiculous. It's completely untrue. And I know for a fact that it is because I have family. Well, they're dead now, but I knew them. They lived through it, and none of them ever said anything even remotely like it. Not even remotely like that happened. There was never a time where you could just beat your wife in the street and get away with it. You would get arrested. You might get away with it, quote unquote, not maybe go to jail, but you're going to get arrested, right? It's just going to happen. It's illegal to hit your wife everywhere in the West, and it pretty much always has been. Um,
Yeah,
it's
no
you can
shit.
you can go to other places where it's not. Those places exist. They're mostly Muslim, but even them, they still have rules regulating it. So this idea that like you said, caveman idea, bonk her on her head and
Yeah,
drag her back
it's
to your
so dumb.
cave. It's just not true. It's
No, it's
simply
not.
not true. It's a
Yeah.
lie.
No, and as far as the radio goes, of course, it was invented in the 19th century, but full
Yep.
broadcasting was like 1919, 1920. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those world changing
Oh
technologies, right?
yeah.
It completely changed the
Yeah.
people, the way they live their lives, which the internet has obviously done for us as well. So every so often that happens, you'll have these world changing technologies, cultural technologies. I'm not necessarily scientific ones, but they can be too. But just culturally, they change the culture, and you'll have a generation of people who grew up remembering before and remembering after, and that's a bridge generation. So I'm part of a bridge generation. My grandparents were part of a bridge generation. A lot of the kids who fought in World War II were bridge generation. Uh, it's just an interesting fact of history. It just happens, right, as technology advances. But it gives you a perspective that a lot of other people don't have. Like Gen Z, these kids, you'll tell them things, and of course they're young, so they're ignorant, but they just conceptually don't understand an analog world because their whole world's been digital from always, right? A
Yeah, but
virtual digital internet world.
I also think a lot of them can't do long division.
Well, yeah, but that's not their fault. That is the fault of the people who didn't teach it to them, because we wouldn't be able to do it either. Most likely, if somebody didn't teach us, uh, at least the basics of it, we might have been able to figure something out. But they live in a world that has been digitized. So why learn how to do that when I can just type it in my phone or
Yeah,
type it in
no.
a calculator or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Trump coming out and saying he's going to shut down the federal Department of Education is one of the best things I've ever heard him say. And
Yes.
I understand Bobby, really about his health thing, and he's right, and I hope he has success with it. But the education situation, I'm waiting to see who he puts in charge of that, as far as that transition, because that is actually one of the worst things that's going on in America. The education system is really bad. And I'm not saying that because I'm an educator. I'm saying that
Yeah.
because I'm human.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
It's
There's no
it's
excuse for the
it's
the
ridiculous.
wealthiest country in the world to have this bad of an education. There's literally no excuse. It's not a money problem. You can't say it is. We're so rich over here. It's stupid. Like it's stupid. People don't
Yeah.
even know. If you ever
Yeah,
travel the
but
world, you'll realize how quickly how
yeah,
rich America is.
it's
Uh,
insane, but it doesn't move around well. But
yeah.
in any country, first should come farmers, second should come education, third should come infrastructure. That
Mhm.
is how it should be, and of course, in reality, that is hardly ever true.
Yeah, those are the
The,
three other things that should be subsidized. If anything's going to be
yep.
subsidized at all, your food supply, your water supply, but I tack them together, and then your education, your educational system, whatever it is, should some way be subsidized or at least supported directly by the government.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no good reason for it not to be, other than corruption.
Right. But I mean, we just need to do it better than we're doing. Nevertheless, I have come to the end of my time. I do need to go to work. And yeah, I got a full day ahead of me. You guys get to go to bed. Of course, we got a normal week here. Thank you very much. And of course, we'll be back next week and we'll be talking about something. Maybe I'll try to watch something that's not horror that maybe Thundero has watched, or maybe he'll give me some suggestions of stuff he's watched, and therefore I can talk about those things.
Mm.
Nevertheless, that's awesome. Thank you guys very much, and take us out of here, dude.
I will take us out of here with this one right here, if I can find it. Give me 1 second.
One.
1, 2, 3. Okay. There are three things that make somebody a hero, and it's three things that are ubiquitous with the Western conceptualization of the hero. It is he strong enough to be kind? Is he brave enough to be humble? And is he tough enough to be righteous? Those three things are all you need for heroism. And when you're the problem we've had for a very, very long time in our world, especially in the West, is all three of those have been demonized and bastardized. And I do genuinely think that a guy like Trump, who is a lot of things, he's all of those though. And I genuinely think we have a chance here. The message for today, the namaste, Chester,
Hmm.
is hope.
Hope. Namaste.
That's it.
Sweet. And if you want to see how to portray a hero properly, go watch yourself a little bit of The Adventures of Robin Hood.
Yep.
Later, everybody.
Bye.